Three Sissies and a Girl is a Plato and Rodan production. Episodes contain explicit language and may discuss subjects that are sensitive to some listeners. See the show notes for details. Three Sissies and a Girl starts now.
Good, we good.
It's on? No. Yeah.
I need to turn my notes
Up is on.
Either.
Down. What you fuck? Up is on.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that we couldn't hear Terry on the podcast.
That's true.
Yeah, you got to go right into it, though, because I can't. I'm having trouble hearing you.
Okay, what about now?
Yep, you're good there.
Okay.
Perfect. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Trading Places was a Christmas movie.
No.
That's what it said. I read that somewhere.
The entire thing was set in December.
Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't. I mean, it was, I guess.
Yeah. But they say it's a Christmas movie. That's what it says. It's the unknown Christmas movie.
It's a Christmas movie in the same way that, like, Gremlins
Or Die Hard, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it said.
It takes place at Christmas.
Oh, and your coffee?
We know. Yeah, what's the story with the half of a Starbucks?
Okay, so I get there. I'll order it ahead of time, way ahead
The
of time.
barista was thirsty, man.
Guess so.
Oh, the Martha dump truck behind the counter. 100%. I'm going to rephrase that. Let me take that back. You ever watch the old cartoons with Toro the bull, the big bull with the ring in his nose?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I know.
That's who was making my coffee. Same size. I'm describing the parameters of this human being, so we know. That's what you like. No, not that. I don't think we've ever really truly talked then.
Human beings have parameters.
Yeah. Well,
I think scenarios have parameters.
I don't even think this was a scenario. This is a true life. This is like, I'm gonna go with parameters because it really is the outline of what I'm trying to describe. So anyway, I'm trying to describe it within the means of I want you to see it. So she was not happy, which you know what, I get it. A lot of people aren't happy. I'm not happy in my job, and I'm going to quit mine soon, and I get it. It's time to step away when you're not happy. They make yours ahead of mine, like 20 minutes ahead of mine, and put it out there. I show up and I see it. Yeah. I see it and I go, that can't be mine. Can't be mine. So it's poor printing on the label. So I look at it and I go, is that a Y or an I? What is that? So I keep looking, and I said, no, and it's half a fucking cup. So I go, no, that can't be mine. It can't be somebody else's. So I'm waiting and I'm waiting and I'm waiting and I sit and I'm waiting. She's making, now, while we're doing this, when I show up, there is what was that show? I can't remember. Something in K+8. I can't remember the guy's. John and K+8 was there with all their fucking kids, which is a dumb. That's retarded to have 8 kids.
I'm gonna talk about that word. That's actually part of my.
There you go. For it to have 8 kids, you're outnumbered, and you can't give the attention anyway. These kids are running everywhere.
That's something that my dad. I'm gonna sidetrack you for a hot second.
Go ahead.
That's something my dad always used to talk about.
It's ridiculous. I'll say.
There you go. That's a better use.
It's
but
stupid.
I remember. So I've always wanted kids, and I remember talking to my dad about it. And he's like, "How many kids do you want?" And I was like, "I don't know, 2 or 3." And he goes, "No." He goes, "Listen to me." He goes, "Remember how much you hated playing zone defense in high school?" I said, "Yes." And he goes, "Yeah. When you switch from having 2 kids to 3, you have to switch from man to zone."
Yep.
He goes, "Do you really want to switch to zone?" I said, "No, I don't want to switch to zone." He goes, "That's right.
100% correct."
He goes, 2 kids.
And you think 2 kids, great. 3, you know what? You can deal with one as one, maybe older. They can help. That's fine. 8 fucking kids? It's time to shut the baby factor down, baby.
Let me tell you. It also is almost impossible from a
One thing.
defense point of view, and that is one guy
With 3 kids. Yeah, well, that's different.
There's
Circumstances do change.
There is not a
You curl up in the fetal position and just wait for it to stop.
Circumstances.
there is not
There
not a cornerback in the National Football League who can cover 3 receivers. I just want to point that out.
I get having kids a long time ago, 8, 10, 11. I get that when they're fucking dying off at 2 years old or whatever. I get it.
Yeah.
I fucking understand. You gotta have
Little
spares.
cat like across the table
exactly.
for me is blushing right now.
When you have to have spares, because you know the first 3 are going to make it for the last 4.
Hire somebody to pick the potato.
Thank you.
I mean, like
that, and the names got to go on. You got the fields of soul. You got all that shit.
Yeah.
You got to have help. I get it. Have 12 fucking kids. That's great, because 3 of them are going to die anyway, and the other 4 are going to whatever. And then the rest of them, the 4 were going to get killed, and 2 of them get gored by bulls or under the plow. But besides that,
We took a dark turn.
You are taking TW notes for me, right?
Yes. I was about to start actually.
Good.
so I get it. But nowadays,
Well, it might as well be.
Well, yeah, I mean, yes.
He's usually the one that.
I
nowadays-
prefer CWs over.
Yeah, that's true. Content.
Well, no, I don't prefer CWs, but
Content warning.
Yeah.
Versus trigger warning. Yeah, I'm with you.
yeah.
back in the, I get it. Back in the day, I get it.
Just for our podcast listeners to
Now-
know.
Now we're having them selfishly 8 kids or whatever, or because the fertilization went overboard, and then you had 8 kids like Johnny K plus 8. You do that. Now you're just having them for extra parts. I mean, honest. I mean, you need a kidney. Baby's got one. You can get it from him. But they get older.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Dark.
Yikes. So I'm just saying. Now you're having them for that reason because they're not dying like they used to be. So people, minimize your children and watch them motherfuckers.
Wait. Hold on. I just want to get this straight. So one of the kids drank half my drink?
Maybe. I wasn't there to watch it. I wasn't there to watch it.
Wow.
I went on a rant.
Or
no, I fell off.
20 minutes to get yours, and you were like, got bored and started just drinking mine.
I don't like that drink, so I'm not going to drink it. Hey, I almost did, but she looked at me and went here, and with a hateful look with her fucking Toro nose ring in her
It's
ear.
actually better. I mean, it's better because it's less.
Less icy, less
Well, no,
diluted.
milk.
Oh. Oh, and then
I only
now you say that.
drink this when you're the only one. Like you're my like bad person. You're my bad influence, and
I got
my bad.
yeah. Well, just every now and then. Like you said, you need the calories. Yeah, you need the calories.
You're my dairy dealer.
Yeah, you need the
You're
calories.
my dairy dealer.
But you say that, and I don't like a lot of milk in mine. I have on a splash.
Yeah, you do the Americano.
This bitch
The water.
put half a glass in my. She put the espresso shot in there. You're supposed to put it in there, put the water in.
The Italian's head just snapped back when you said espresso.
I know it's espresso. I get it. But it's espresso. That's what I said.
You know what? It's okay. He's getting an Americano. It's the same thing.
Americano. Yeah, it's a venti too. Instead of a grande. 2 different languages. Anyway, the thing is, she puts down.
I love Matt's face drink.
She puts down. She pours the coffee part in there, and then takes the milk and pours half. I'm talking half a glass of milk in there. Then puts the hot water.
He's so
like,
lit up over coffee.
what's funny is he's like looking at us, going like, I don't get it. Why? How do you guys understand?
No. I get it. I get it. I'm just angry. No, I can't do that. I will kill everyone. I can't do it.
And this is why,
I don't do it.
among other reasons, I don't drink coffee.
Oh, I gotta have my coffee. That's the thing. Don't fuck up my coffee. Just make it right. That's all I ask. It's not hard. There's a guy named Devin that works there. I love that dude. That's my guy. I love him. And I'm not gonna name the place, of course, because we're not gonna do that. But Devin works there, and he is special. Love him, and he makes everything the way I like it. And he says hey to me every time I come in. Terry, hey Terry, love him. This bitch, hateful, just hateful Toro looking bitch, bull with a ring in her nose. Fuck her. All right, I'm sorry. Now I'm
Maybe
done.
she just doesn't like you.
They could have, but she looked at everybody the same. I think she's just having a bad day
She might have been too.
or a bad week. Look like a bad.
Customers.
She looked like she's having a
Customers at
bad
coffee
20
shops
years.
are fucking rude though, bro.
No, my days are always sunny.
Yeah, like how many times did he come in here and tell us he's like cursed out patients and like
I've always fucked them.
been like
You got
Like they were having a heart attack and dying, and you gave them a pal driver. Like, what are you doing?
No, I told the guy the other night. We pulled up on scene and there's a car wreck. There's two cars, people, and I walk up. Fire department looks at me and goes, "Nobody's injured." I said, "Everybody's good. Yeah, I don't need an ambulance." Great, cause see, I don't have to do.
Then why did you call me?
Well, that's the main reason. But we fucking cops. Anyway, I love you, cops in blue. I mean, when you got me pulled over, but the thing is, when I walk up, I go, so nobody. Yeah, I'm to save myself.
I'm watching the vein in his forehead.
When I
waiting
walk
for it
up
to just really start
and I
throbbing.
go, and they go.
there's so much here.
I know. And I walk up and I go, nothing. Great. I'll check. Yeah. So I go up to the cops and I go, hey, and they're talking to one of the guys. They tell me that we're not needed, so I'm going to leave. And the guy goes, well, I'm fine. I said, don't talk to me. See, I'm talking to you with a cop, looking straight at you. The guy's, he's him. I went, don't talk to me. Because if I don't talk to you, I don't have to do a report. So shut up. Then I go back to the cop. I'm not going to write a report on this. I'm going to do one, no patient contact, and it's not a big fucking report, so I'm not going to write it. He goes, well, I said, shh.
Did you put your finger on his lip?
Yeah. I mean, if he was close, I didn't know where he was. I wasn't looking at him. I was just like, and he goes, and I said, the cop just started laughing. I'm on camera, the body camera. So, yeah, I'm on camera doing this. So they go, okay. I said, all right, great. I'm out. They go, yeah. We leave. I walk off. My partner goes, fuck. I said, yeah, I'm not writing a few. I have to write too many reports. I'm not doing this. So the guy walks up and he goes, all I heard him say, he looked at the cop and goes, what was that? That was it. The cop goes, they won't say my name, so we're good. So, yeah.
So, today's episode.
Wait. I'm going to sidebar first.
Oh, yeah,
There we go.
Yeah, I brought
Oh, yeah, that's
a little sampler
Yeah, we need to.
to crack open. It's whatever Coke's newest off the rail
Yeah, we
idea
need.
is Coke Move, which I looked up the description, and I'm not going to
Yeah.
tell you guys what it is,
Yeah.
but it was unsettling.
So, Terry, you're right there next to. Why don't you crack it while I introduce our film?
Get it close to the mic. Get a little ASMR. There you go.
So, while Terry's pouring our stuff here, we are going to talk today about the 1983 John Landis directed film Trading Places, starring Ed
These cups are nowhere near even.
And you want to be a bartender?
as Billy Ray Valentine.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm just pushing forward.
just keep going.
And Dan Aykroyd as Lewis Winthorpe III. You got some Hollywood legends of Ralph Bellamy and Don Amici as Duke brothers, and then Denham Elliott as Coleman, and then we have Jamie Lee Curtis rounding out the cast as Ophelia.
Oh, Coleman.
It really does smell like,
Yeah, it does.
yeah.
Oh, smells like buttered something.
There's something in there. What the fuck is that?
Oh,
It tastes like you. Wait,
There were peanuts in
wait,
I don't know what that was.
No, that's exactly what it tastes like. You ate popcorn and then took a drink of regular Coke.
is it just me or does it taste like kind of weirdly flat as well? Like
It does take flat.
like
Yeah.
it almost
We know
froth-
it's not because it
Well,
was
it just,
Yeah, it's like
So this is movie theater pop.
I don't know.
yeah, it's supposed to be like
Tastes like a
buttered
woman.
popcorn flavor.
It does definitely have a buttered popcorn.
No, it tastes like
I don't
Really?
know how I feel
a
about
lot of
this.
perfume on,
It's really
and
weird.
you drink some Coke and you lick her neck. That's what it tastes like. That's what it tastes like.
Do not make me do a spit take.
Very perfumey. Ah, that's what it tastes like perfume. Like an old lady, like an 80-year-old woman sprayed a lot of perfume on, and you take a sip of a Coke and then licked her neck, and then that's what it was.
Have you done that before?
We're not going to talk about that. We're not bringing it up. Tijuana doesn't count.
This movie, interesting enough, opens up on, like, I think,
Christmas.
sort of, I mean, December. What I was going to say is
It's a Christmas movie.
if you notice,
Yes, Matt liked his.
uh,
Mine had stuff floating in it. I don't know what it was. I'm not doing it.
I just wanted to get it down, but it's like
that's what she said.
I don't like it.
It's not the worst Coke I've ever had. I think the Dream World one was probably that thing was noxious.
Yeah,
I've never tried that one.
I mean, like, it's not good enough that I would go, oh my God, I'm going to buy this again.
Oh,
But it's not it's not terrible, but it's
It
not.
really does smell like it,
It
but
does smell like, and when you burp,
yeah, don't burp it up. I just did that.
It burps like a
Yeah, like a
popcorn.
Yeah, it's not good.
okay,
It is mixed with coffee.
back on track.
So-
Ooh.
Yeah, it's not bad.
This movie
Good.
opens up on the world of where we're gonna of Philadelphia, taking place.
Which I thought was a weird choice for this particular film.
Yeah, that is.
I was like, where are we, New York? I was like, Philadelphia. Hang on,
I
what?
went through it too. I went.
Yeah, then they go, which is weird too, because then they have to go to New York to
Shoot the movie.
to do the climax.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
That they were actually, so that is, it's interesting. It's funny that you brought that up because when from broadcast television, they cut the line out that Dan Aykroyd said.
Yeah, I had a note about that.
Yeah, the line where he says, "In here, it's kill or be killed."
Yeah.
They cut that line out of network television after 9/11 because that is they were walking into the World Trade Center, which had come down on 9/11 because obviously that was in 82 or whenever, 83 when they were filming it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yep, same one, same World Trade Center they were walking in. So it opens up on this world of like, you really get a glimpse, I think, and I think that was the kind of the point. You get a glimpse of what the reality of life is, right? You see all these it's nothing but like these blue collar workers and people going, and you just really see.
We see it contrasted too.
And then all of a sudden, boom, it takes us into the world of the rich.
Yeah.
It opens up with, Bellamy, Don Amici, Dan Aykroyd,
And so there's a contrast. But it also was a little bit, seemed like a little foreshadowing was where he was headed.
Oh, yeah. Whenever
kinda,
it's like, yeah.
It did several things at the very beginning.
So I actually had a note about, because I had written that note, I was like, why are we in Philadelphia? And then as I was reading one of my sources, which is this writer who does movie reviews named Danielle Solzman, I hope I'm saying that right. She mentioned that the reason that they put it, that one of the possible reasons they put it in Philadelphia rather than New York is because Philadelphia really is the birthplace of the American ideals and that kind of American dream style living. I mean, they even have the Rocky statue, everything like that. So it's really that kind of like rags to riches, like pull yourself up and like make it up the stairs kind of thing, like championing the underdog kind of birthplace. Yeah. So I thought that was interesting that was maybe one of the reasons that they said it in Philly rather than.
Yeah. So I noticed a lot with, and I've got other notes in here about this too, that John Landis is very visual.
Did a deep dive on John.
Yeah, he's very so that's why I was.
He's almost kind of Peter Weir-like in his use of exposition.
Yeah, and also just his imagery and how he uses a lot of there's a lot of hidden meaning in the choices that he makes.
Don't I know it?
Yeah, why don't you talk about it? I mean, because that's part of the opening of the movie.
Yeah, so if you are a new listener, then welcome. I used to sing opera, and I'm a classically trained singer, and I still watch operas quite a bit. And the first 10 seconds of this movie, I was like, hang on, am I hearing that right? Is that the Marriage of Figaro that's playing? And it is. So John Landis uses Le Nozze di Figaro, a.k.a. The Marriage of Figaro, written by Mozart, heavily throughout this film. He actually uses the overture for it. And it's funny that he uses Le Nozze di Figaro because that is genuinely a story about a lower class of people trying to pull influence away from a wealthier set and from this count who, because he thinks he has standing and he has wealth, he can do whatever he wants, such as making Figaro's soon-to-be wife his mistress over his actual wife. And so they basically devised this plot to basically fool him into falling back in love with his own wife. It's a very convoluted story, but it really is kind of like that whole thing of, we're going to take this really wealthy guy who thinks he has all the entitlement and privilege in the world and thus can do whatever he wants with it, and we're going to pull a fast one on him to send him back into his place and make him realize, like, you're still a human being. Like, you still have to abide by the laws of humanity. And then there was another reason that I had sent it to you. I'm trying to find it now. So the main titles are accompanied by the overture, The Marriage of Figaro. As Louis is leaving his office, he whistles the beginning of the aria Se vuol ballare from the opera. In that aria, Figaro declares his plan to turn the tables on his master just as Louis and Billy Ray eventually will outwit the Duke brothers. What they also don't mention, though, is that there's another song that plays in the film, and that one is Non più andrai, which literally means no more gallivanting, and it's right in the nexus of the film where they pivot around from they've just left the train, or not, I'm sorry, they just overheard what the plan is in the bathroom when he tries to eat the joint.
Yeah.
Or almost accidentally eats the joint.
Yeah.
And they hear that it's playing in the background. And they don't mention it, but it, like I said, it means no more gallivanting. And so it's like all of a sudden they're like, okay, now we've figured out what the plan is. And so now we're going to enter into this phrase. But what's funny is that actual song, Non più andrai, is basically they're sending Cherubino, who is a castrati. It's traditionally played by a woman, actually, off to,
man.
but yeah. Well, I mean, that was the original intent, but in modern theater, it's played by a mezzo. They're sending Cherubino off to war.
With that, the song that they play throughout the climax, I know, of the film, and maybe even at the approach, is that also part of the opera, that really fast kind of string, like, it's almost like the theme song.
Yeah, that's the very, very, very start of the overture.
Yeah, and they use it a lot, especially in the training scene. Basically like the theme song of the movie, basically.
That is the first few bars of the overture.
Okay.
And then it settles in. Yeah. But they also mentioned 2 other operas that are actually really highly poignant as well for the comparison, in the scene where he's pretending to be legless, which, by the way, this entire movie was not written for Eddie Murphy, it was written for
Richard
Pryor and Gene Wilder.
Yeah.
But they thought it would have been too close, which is why he says he's a Vietnam vet, because Eddie Murphy would have been way too young to be a Vietnam vet.
Yeah.
But he mentions Porgy and Bess, and when he's like, which you want to fucking talk about grabbing onto a woman and not letting her go, Jesus Christ. In that scene where he's like grabbed onto that woman's coat and she's like trying to get away from him, and then he calls her a bitch because she walked away from him. I mean, could we talk about catcalling for a hot second? But he mentions Porgy and Bess, and in Porgy and Bess, Porgy is a disabled black man who is trying to save Bess from her violent and abusive lover, Crown, and also from her drug dealer. So that's also like a big moment. And then when he pulls out the tickets and he says, oh yeah, we have 2 opera tickets for, and he mispronounces it, and he corrects him. He says, it's La Bohème. Bohème is all about basically like the middle, lower class and lower class people trying to survive. If you've ever seen the musical Rent is heavily based off of Bohème, right down to that final song where Roger sings to Mimi as she's like laying on that table. That is a direct ripoff from La Bohème. Mimi actually dies in La Bohème, and there's an entire aria that she does on her back, and when she dies, her lover is holding her and sings Mimi as loud as he can. So that, yeah, it's really interesting that we get these like kind of little nuances that you're talking about. John Landis intentionally including pieces in there. It's really interesting, like little things that you have to be in the conoscenti to know. It's really interesting how he did that.
What is that?
Conoscenti, the knowing.
Oh, okay. Of like, is that?
It's like you're not in on the joke, but like you're part of the educated, knowledgeable crowd.
Okay. I didn't know that word. That's the first.
Conoscenti. I mean, Italian boy right over here. You could have asked him.
Speak English in that house.
So we have opens up on this rich thing, and I thought when I was watching Dan Aykroyd, kind of at the beginning, both of them actually, I feel like they settled in, and I don't know the order that this movie obviously was filmed in, but I felt like kind of at first he was really playing a caricature of what he felt like a rich person would be. And
That was intentional.
yeah, no, I know. And so
Right down to the affected way that he said Godstad, which, by the way, those are not 6 time zones. There's only 3
yeah.
on that watch.
Yeah, I saw that too. Because the places he named were 3 of them are in the same time zone, and that's what it was. Yeah. So yeah, it opens up, and they go to this little club, and you see the world of all the rich people, and then you go from the club. We go outside. We see Eddie Murphy. He's hustling. Pretending to be a Vietnam vet who's
fucking ableism at its finest.
Yeah.
Like, let's just...
legless, Vietnam vet, and
that was another reference, by the way, actually.
yeah, the paratrooper thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they were legless.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is 2 years on this podcast. Like,
Yes.
this is the anniversary.
Yeah.
Right at,
Oh, is it?
right at like February 16th, somewhere in there.
Oh, really?
Well.
Wow. Amazing.
Brought some champagne or something. Happy anniversary to us.
So then they open the story up, and they show Dan Aykroyd. He goes in, and he gets Ralph Bellamy and Don Amici, the Duke brothers, to fill out these checks, and they run across this check by this, Clarence Beeks guy, and it's like this $50,000 check. They don't know where. He doesn't know who Clarence Beeks is. The Duke brothers do, obviously, because they're in on it. This scam that's about to kind of like go out.
Except there wasn't really a scam. It was legal at the time.
Well, true. No, it was. That's true. It was legal at the time. Probably selling the crop report was probably, I would imagine, maybe it would have been illegal. I would think, like selling it as a probably because as a
Well, they were doing a cloak and dagger, it seems.
yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. But what she's referring to is insider trading was actually
Yeah, not a crime.
legal.
Yeah.
So the aspect of you could get the information, but it's how you obtain the information might have been anyway.
No, because that was the Eddie Murphy rule.
Oh, was how it's obtained.
Yes, I think so. I'm pretty sure.
So I thought it was funny because I looked at first of all, it's funny when you think about wealthy people today, and the figures that they mention in this film are like just as like rich people today would spend that on breakfast. Like when they went, he just made us an extra $347,000. I don't think Jeff Bezos would get out of bed for $347,000 extra money. You know what I mean? It was funny to hear those kind of things. It was like, yeah, but you could see like,
Okay, so it deals with the use of misappropriated government data. And it was part of the Dodd-Frank Act of 2010. So I was right.
yeah, you were right about the Dodd-Frank thing for sure.
Well, and I was right in that it was 2 separate laws because insider trading wasn't until 1988. So it had been 5 years after this film.
And it's funny that Matt just mentioned the thing about the $5 because I made a note, Ezra, and put an exclamation like,
Me too.
I loved Ezra, like that whole thing. I'm like, oh, I'll be able to go to the movies by myself. But that's the equivalent of $14 today. Like that would be like giving him a $14.
2021.
Or it's 2021 was $14.
It would have been $14.
So it's probably about $10 right now. Let's say.
You see where you talk about them being, wealthy back. They were talking about how wealth and all this. He had one guy doing every job. Coleman did the cooking, shaved, Yeah, valid. He had everything.
That's their job.
But I know, but if you're talking about wealthy, they have different. They have they have cooks. They have this. They have that. So I mean, but if going like you said with the wealth of the movie is how much, how much they're making or how much whatever. It seems like the wealthy, because when the Dukes walk out, they have everyone. Yeah. So you can tell who, they set up who the tier of the whole thing.
It's like that thing that Chris Rock usually always said. He used to say that Shaquille O'Neal was rich.
Yeah.
The guy who signs his checks are wealthy.
Yeah.
And it's the same. Right.
Yeah.
Lewis is rich, but the Dukes are wealthy. Like that's.
Yeah, and you can see the difference. But when he brought that breakfast to bed, and he was all quiet, that breakfast would have went everywhere if that would have been me. You can't come in there and do that to me. You can't set it on the bed. You couldn't do that. You come in and just set it down and place it. I'd have kicked that shit across the room. Who the hell is in my... I just scared the hell out of me. I know it would have.
I mean, if you're
the way I sleep.
used to it, though.
It may be so. Yeah, you grew up with it. I don't... Yeah. I didn't grow up with it. I grew up
According to this,
hoping I didn't wake up choked every morning.
$15 is what, $5?
I was the oldest. I
$5
could have easily went.
then what's
So we gained a whole other dollar
Yeah.
in 2 years.
yeah.
Goodness.
I got Tourette. I mean, I got Parkinson's and Tourette's.
So but what was interesting about, he said, we sure are paying our people an awful lot of money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he goes, oh, we can't get past minimum wage. I happened to pause it and look at the checks just to see like the amounts, because I'm always fascinated. It's like
30,000 was that
props. No, 50,000 was on the check
To pay.
and that's what he paid him. But it does say 50,000. He says it. He goes,
Was it-
$50,000.
No, he says 30 for the employee. It's Clarence Beeks who gets 50.
Yeah. Beast
Oh.
50.
So it was one check was $374, one check was $171, and one check was $143. That's what they netted, because you could see on the bottom of the checks it actually had all the FICA and all the, like, because I paused it to look at it. You could see all the stuff. Yeah, it was wild. Like, yeah, it was what. But I thought, wow, $171 a week. Like,
Yes, that
that
will
was
save
minimum
wealthy.
wage. Like, yeah, no,
Yeah.
you're exactly right.
Yeah.
The wealth is made off the backs of
Yeah.
minimum wage.
Yeah.
You can. You can be wealthy and treat your people right. But that's exactly why. You nailed it. That's why they're like, oh, we sure are people will pay a lot of. Well, yeah, I mean,
I mean, you could afford to.
But
why?
what I don't understand though is who are they? Maybe it's like the janitors or something. Like
Well,
that?
you notice
It's
that
like
everyone in that
commodities
club
traders.
was of color. Everyone in that club that did everything was of
You're
color.
talking about the Heritage Club.
Yeah. Then that's where they were signing the checks and do it. So I'm assuming,
It's like the wait staff and stuff like that.
so they
Did you
look at
notice
their paying, but
That when all of those traders, like when the bell tolls
Yeah,
and they leave the bathroom,
it was all white.
it was all white. Not a single fucking one of them paused to wash their hands.
Oh,
well, what's interesting is I thought it was interesting that you could see Landis did this. He was and now him and Eddie Murphy had a little bit of a tiff because Eddie didn't support him, but they still worked with each other years prior. But Landis would kind of give him these little digs because Landis had directed Twilight Zone, and Vic Morrow and two kids had gotten
Oh, that's right.
killed.
He wanted him to come testify.
I wanted him to just be a character
Weird.
witness, and he wouldn't do it because Eddie felt like, no, you were responsible for those kids, and him and
was
Eddie
that the
felt
helicopter
it was
thing?
the helicopter,
Oh, yeah.
the kids and Vic Morrow were
Yeah.
killed in the accident.
Well, actually,
Yeah, and so, but him and Eddie Murphy worked together. Matter of fact, when they got ready to do, Eddie's production companies who actually hired John Landis to do Coming to America, that gives you an idea of how
yeah.
they were putting it together, and Eddie wanted John to direct. Eddie specifically wanted John to direct. And I think part of it was as you look at John Landis's pedigree and you look at how he came up.
Yeah, Blues Brothers and
Yeah. He came up from the ground. He worked his way up from the ground up in the business, in the studio, like business, like as a runner.
Yeah.
And worked his way up. But he was, and you do see it. And I know Hannah's going to point out like a lot of the problems, and there were some. Obviously, we could see some. There's some homophobia and stuff in here. Obviously, that's
Racist.
problematic and racist. But I will say about the racism, I think is part of the. It is part of a social commentary and not it's.
There was no reason for him to be in blackface.
Oh, that one.
Zero.
I agree with you 100% on that one. But I'm not talking about that.
he was Jamaican.
That was like that one. I made a huge note like that.
And there was
Come on, Ma.
And there was no reason that Eddie Murphy needed to be that stereotypical of a Cameroonian exchange student.
I even did the fly swatter. I loved it.
Yeah,
It was awesome.
it was. No, I agree. But so again,
I'm sorry.
that was his name was actually a city in Cameroon.
No, it's pretty good.
But what I was going to say is, for those faults, and you see it in the film, John Landis is a pretty progressive filmmaker. His movies are pretty diverse. You see it in this. Obviously, he even and And in reality, they didn't exist in some ways because, and you can tell by when you look on, if you notice, there was one person of color in the club that came up to Duke and just had like one line, right? It was like that he was supposedly a guy who worked there who was a commodities trader, like himself. Yeah, it was that. But when you look at, those were actual traders that they used. They were on the actual trading floor on a weekend. Those were actually real traders. And you can see they're all white men.
Yeah, well, so in two things. In reference to the trading scene, they had to do that on a weekend because when they tried to bring in people on the set, they actually lost $6 billion trying to film that scene on a weekday.
Because everybody freaked out and stopped trading when they saw Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy. Because SNL was huge back then, and they were big SNL. This was only Eddie Murphy's second movie. He'd done, and you could tell. You can tell, especially, particularly in the beginning, they cut from him a lot. And I think he got better and got his stride as he got on because they're on him more. But in the very beginning, they cut away from him a lot when in those first, especially in the club.
His second movie.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah.
But what the other part was interesting, and there was two places that he breaks the fourth wall, and both of them are commentary on race.
Right.
The first one is when they arrest him with the briefcase. He gets in the car. He looks to the camera as the car's live. He looks dead in camera to say, like, ain't this some shit? And he's basically like, that's him saying, like, of course, the whole thing is comment on race and how the black guy wasn't trying to steal Dan Aykroyd's briefcase. Just had a legitimate bump into him, but because there was 4 cops sitting around watching him, and Dan Aykroyd freaks out and starts screaming because, obviously.
But even the black doorman tried to grab him.
Yeah, but that's
when he's leaving the police precinct and he says, like, might I recommend a nightstick? And the cop like completely brushes him off.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, they're not going to use it on a white guy.
Yeah.
Chill out. But they did have, he is progressive, I will give you that. However, there are 2 issues that I have, among other things, with the way that this movie was done in particular. And part of it falls on John Landis. The other part falls on the guy who was playing Mortimer, what's his last name? How do you pronounce that?
Amici? Don Amici?
Don Amici.
Is that how you say it?
Yeah, that's how I've always known it. Don Amici.
That's what everybody said.
So Amici was really strongly religious.
Yeah.
So that scene where he says fuck him at the end of the film, they had to do it in one take because he wouldn't repeat it. But he has no issue saying the N-word with a hard R.
He did. Actually, he did. That was part of it too. That was another one. He didn't want to do that one either.
Okay, because I found no note about him having issues with that. I have found a lot of sources where he had issues saying fuck him.
No, I did see that he had an issue with the N-word as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
that makes me feel a little bit better.
Well, you see the time because faggot we use a lot too.
Yeah,
Murphy threw that several times.
That was one of the. I made that note. It happened. It was twice that I heard it.
Twice, 2 times.
Sent a thing up my, of course.
Yeah,
like it sent a.
Yeah, me too.
Jolt up my spine.
Yeah, I don't like that one.
Oof. However.
Well, and then the gorilla scene too. I was like, oh yeah, we'll just throw a little bit of this in here too. That's perfectly okay and hilarious. Yeah, let's make that joke. It's more than bestiality because there was no consent involved. But yes, but the other kind of issue that I had too was, so you have this really strong, and again, we'll talk about how Jamie Lee Curtis is robbed of her agency, but as a character, she has a ton of agency. But you know who we don't hear from, who's just kind of plopped in at the end? It's the black woman that Eddie Murphy's character ends with.
Yeah, I know.
She's given fucking zero agency.
Yeah.
And you don't ever, she's just sort of like an afterthought they give her. It's like, oh yeah, we spent, however long this movie is with this white woman, has all this agency, and then you just sort of give us this black woman at the end and don't do anything with her.
Yeah. And they also, because they did give I thought, I had kind of the same thought. I went, well, this is kind of odd that I did also make a note. If you notice in this particular film, the other thing that he does a lot of, there are a lot of interracial relationships in this movie, and a lot of like he doesn't shy away from it at all, and it's not mentioned as being it's just relationships,
Yeah.
and they don't even mention it just happens, right? So it's not like you're not doing it and calling attention to it. It's just doing it. So I thought the same thing. They gave Coleman the Asian woman at the end, and she had lines, and she had like, hey, stuff, and then the same thing. And I felt the same thing. I was like, first of all, why couldn't listen, I like giving Coleman the young woman. I thought that's fucking great. He deserves that. But why not? Why does Eddie have to have anybody? Why does that have to be what makes him whole? Like, he's a freaking millionaire now. Like, why does he have to have a woman next to him at all?
I think that was part of the outdated ideals.
Oh,
that like everybody had to have someone.
Yeah, that was the whole thing. Like, at the end of the movie, that was their big deal back then, was always like, well, let's give, happy endings and everybody gets somebody. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and that's part of that like nudity thing too, is like there's no reason for any of these women to be taking their shirts off in the party scene. I was like, when did this happen?
I thought there was a man taking his shirt off in that scene.
And then Jamie Lee Curtis's shit too, where she was completely robbed of her agency as well.
So this is the deep dive I took on 80s movies and nudity. 70s and 80s movies and nudity. There was not one specific thing that led to the prevalence of this. It was several different factors that all came together to create the perfect storm of gratuitous nudity for no other reason than gratuitous nudity. Several things happened. We'll just throw a few things out there that kind of went down, and they're all part of this. Obviously, we've talked about this 1,000 times. The Hays Code in the 70s is when it started, when they just started saying, fuck this Hays Code bullshit. Let's see how far we can push it again.
Before it breaks.
That was part of it. They were seeing how far they could push it. Second, in the 60s, they were coming off the sexual revolution, and they were trying. So there's two parts to this thing about women's agency, right? So there were several women who, as part of the sexual revolution and trying to break free from these Puritan ideals and stuff, did want to be more sexually free and did want to be more, to be able to say, this is my body and there's nothing wrong with it, XYZ. Now, that happened, but when that happens, obviously, then there are men who take advantage of those type situations. So they make it as part, they frame it as, this is you being sexually liberating, but they're not actually giving, like Jamie Lee Curtis, any agency over her own sexual liberation. They're not saying to her or any of the other women that show their breasts, if you guys want to, feel free to show your breasts. You don't need to, but if you want to do that, knock yourself out. No, they say, you're going to need to show your boobs here.
Well, and that was the whole thing about the horror that you and I had talked about previously. She had done how many horror films?
5 or 6 horror films, never took her top off.
Yeah, and then she started going mainstream, which they didn't even want to cast her originally in this film because she had such a horror background. They weren't sure that she was going to have the comedic chops to keep up.
Yeah.
Which she did just fine.
Yeah. She's a funny woman. Just in real, her husband, who wasn't her husband at the time, but just, I think, gives you an idea of her mind. She's married to Christopher Guest, who's just amazing. He's a comedic genius when it comes to filmmaking.
I think it was his
brother. Yeah, yes, it is.
Brother-in-law's on.
He plays one of the little Harvard guys.
Yeah.
And I think he's Tommy. Because the other one, what was the one that was? Wait, I think I got something.
I have it in my notes too.
What the name of the guy was? Oh yeah, it's my note. Blackface. Oh fuck me.
Yeah, mine's in there too.
That's what I literally went. Blackface. Oh fuck me.
They didn't need to do that. And horror. They also made the reference to was it Hamlet with Ophelia?
Yeah, so her name is Ophelia. There's actually a lot of references to Hamlet in this, actually. as
Just
well.
didn't go insane and drown herself.
Yeah, I mean, yes, she meets a horrible end, and actually I was pretty happy that Ophelia got her own good ending. The other reference to Hamlet in this, which kind of flies under the radar, is when they're introducing the plot about framing Winthrop in the club. He says there's something rotten in the club. That is a direct. It's a direct. There is something rotten in the state of Denmark.
Yeah.
It's a direct line from it, almost.
Yep.
So there's also like a couple like weird little. I mean, we talk about how Landis sprinkles in these kind of things. There was all the opera stuff that we talked about earlier. I mean, Bo Diddley was in this.
Yeah, he was I've got that note. He was the pawnbroker.
There were a ton of references to the Blues Brothers, which is an earlier film that he had done. I mean, fuck, even John Belushi was in this film.
No, that was actually James
Belushi.
Yeah, that's John's brother, because John had died the year previous.
Right, yeah, you died in 82.
So which brings us where I was heading that way when we were talking about the film. So obviously, this whole thing is about trading places. They take Dan Aykroyd, make him poor, and they take Eddie Murphy and make him rich. And then part of the thing, when they make Dan Aykroyd poor, he gets arrested, and the inmate number that he uses for that scene is John Belushi's inmate number from Blues Brothers.
Right.
And he did that because he had John.
Well, and also See You Next Wednesday, the poster.
Yes.
In Ophelia's apartment. It's the same fictional film that Landis references in
a bunch of them.
A bunch of them, yeah. American Werewolf in London and stuff like that.
It was a porn in that one.
Yeah, but I mean, even though the theme of this is a direct correlation to Bernard Shaw's play Pygmalion.
Yeah.
And it also includes specific references to hoi polloi and Mark Twain's novel The Prince and the Pauper. And then there's also a couple, even Three Stooges episodes that direct relate to.
Yeah, it was derivative of a lot of things it was derivative of a lot of things that were derivative of that all kind of go back to Prince and Pauper and what was the one, hoi polloi, yeah.
I mean, he even took the reference for Beekman or Beeks. I'm sorry, not Beekman. Beeks, direct from G. Gordon Liddy.
Yes, because G. Gordon Liddy was supposed to be Beeks.
Yes,
but
and he even had Reagan's picture and Nixon's pictures on the brothers' desks.
I made that note too, that they had Reagan and Nixon's pictures, and then I meant to go look and see who the photos were on the back credenza, because I recognized them but didn't recognize them. But I'm sure they were probably some other, conservative stalwarts of the 70s.
Oh, I'm sure.
But this wasn't the first time that they've destroyed someone's lives.
Yeah. No, it's not.
It's not the first time.
Well, and this
before.
Yeah.
Because they've made reference to it in the, we've done this before, and because when he called the butler knew what was coming up, because they've done this before to another person, to not because of what he just got on with the science and everything. That was they were just made a bet, and they just wanted to see if they could do it.
Yeah, so there's also a lot of other references too. The manipulation of Lewis and Billy Ray's fates is similar to God and Satan bet in the Book of Job. And then there's also a reference to the Count of Monte Cristo, where they basically try and take the Count of Monte Cristo, because in Monte Cristo, Dantes takes his revenge on Danglars, but in this iteration of the film, they don't take their revenge. They just make them poor.
Right.
They don't kill him. It's also based off of a 1954 British satirical film, Man with Millions, which starred Gregory Peck, a.k.a. the best Atticus Finch that ever lived. And then there's a reference to George Washington in The Cherry Tree. When he picks up the money clip, if you look at that back wall, George Washington's portrait is on the back wall.
Yes, I'm telling you.
So when he looks at that clip and he makes the conscious decision to give the money clip back rather than lie and just pocket it, they're referencing George Washington and the cherry tree.
Which, by the way, that was when he juggled that money clip. That was a goof.
Yeah.
That was a screw up.
The other time that he looked at the camera was when he was explaining pork bellies, and it came from bacon.
Yeah.
It was on
And
ELT.
yeah, he looked at him like,
Yeah, he looked at the camera.
Yeah.
And
like,
these
yeah,
motherfuckers.
must think I'm a dumbass. So the other note I made about them was that those old men were saying, and that's part of, I think, what now a lot of this too, you go back to a lot of this, and I'll talk about that with this particular screenwriter is.
Yeah, who was the screenwriter on this?
So I've got some notes. Timothy Harris was the screenwriter. He also wrote Brewster's Millions, which would
would have been right around the same time. I think it was 2 years after.
a couple years after, which would probably that's probably going to be my when we do our next episode. That's probably going to be my pick to add because so he said what he said was he wrote this screenplay and Brewster's Millions particularly were, and it's funny that because Hannah had just mentioned this movie, this older movie is the same kind of concept. They used to do a lot of satirical. Used to satirize greed and do a lot of movies that had social commentary about greed and would basically lampoon greedy people. But he basically said that, and he had tons of, and they used to do it a lot back in the day, but they stopped doing it around the time that Greed is Good came along as the 80s, because he said basically all of the studio execs and all the people that make movies are very wealthy and they don't want to make fun of themselves. So they stopped making those movies. And these Trading Places and Brewster's Millions were kind of among the last up until we see Succession. And that's kind of that one lampoons greed a lot now, but it kind of like it went away. Like those type of movies went away because that whole mantra of greed is good in the 80s. So yeah, Timothy Harris did a lot of that. So I had a note was because this kind of my notes in order of like Coleman, absolutely loved Denham Elliott as Coleman. Apparently Sir John Gielgud was supposed to be the original, but like it was too close to the same character he played in Arthur, and so they got Denham Elliott instead. But what was interesting about this movie was I didn't realize how highly rated it was on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes, and also that it was actually nominated and won several awards. It was nominated for Academy Awards. Denham Elliott and Jamie Lee Curtis both won BAFTAs, which is the British Academy Awards. Both won BAFTAs for their performances. Eddie Murphy won an Image Award for his performance. Like this was an award-winning movie. That shocked me to read about that. I was like, you don't think about it.
It was the best part of this
Well, it's just amazing how he changed. It didn't take him long to go from, hey, motherfucker, to, hey, get out. Look, y'all need everybody get out. And this ain't shit. I'm not doing this. Even his cursing, he was trying to cut back. So
well,
it's just
and he
the change.
At least acknowledges Coleman too.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, so I had a thing on here about my note was, and you see it a lot, the lower class people in this movie are in the know. They know what is being done to them, and they know they don't have a choice. But it wasn't like they thought they were in. They didn't, which was the other interesting. I liked that interesting take on it too. Is that the lower class people were not in this position. Oh, thank you so much, sir, for giving me this job and paying me. They were like, fuck you. I know I got to be here, and I know you're a piece of shit, but I don't have a fucking choice because I got fucking kids to feed.
But time out for a second, because also in this film you get this kind of if A then B correlation of poverty meaning immoral.
Oh, yeah.
Which is super problematic.
Well, no, wait. So that is, but I don't think it's, I agree with you in that that's problematic, but I think it's part of the social commentary of the film that the old men, because I made the note that the old men are actually saying the things out loud that those same type of people are saying private,
Closed doors. Yeah.
behind closed doors, and the whole because they actually show that lower class in several instances does not mean immoral, especially like with the money clip thing and with him.
But
like,
he's already been transformed into a higher class, so to speak, at that point.
Yeah, I guess, but I think that it was. I think they're wrong. You're proving the Dukes are saying this. Let's face it. The reality of the world is that's the way people think, and that's what they're saying but they're showing that lower class people are not immoral.
Yeah, but what you see at the end,
and they actually show that they have higher morals.
Yes,
than the rich people,
because like you said, they're saying it, and it's not really, but sort of. It's saying it's because they're saying it. It's kind of pointing fingers. They're shitty. They're bad people. But in the end, when you're down on your luck, and where do they get the money from? They got it from the people who worked, from from Coleman, from Jamie Lee Curtis, Ophelia. They're the one. That's where they got the money to go in to bankrupt the rich people. So you can see that where being poor sucks. You can still turn it around, and that's what they did by getting their money. Because their life savings. This is my life savings. Man, you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. So their life savings. If it wasn't for them, Eddie Murphy might have could have pulled some money from somewhere, but he'd been pulling money trying to hurt them, and they saw something. So it's still, they did it secretly because of it.
One of the things I thought was a real problem with society, not in the movie, in a lot of places, I feel like the problems of the movie were actually reflections of society. And so
I would agree with that, yeah.
Warranted in that way. But also, the other thing I would say is what it made me realize is that, especially, particularly the way Jamie Lee Curtis masterfully plays Ophelia, that it really makes you go, we should really normalize sex work. It's such a
I've been saying that for years.
Stigma, and it's.
I mean, damn, she was able to save $45,000 in what, 5 years, something like that?
Yeah, and also the other part about it is
good for her. Fuck.
And the other part about that is too. Yes, and listen, I have personally known women who were in the sex industry in their early 20s, and people joke a lot about every dancers putting themselves through nursing school, whatever. However, I do legitimately know a couple of people who were in sex work in their 20s that made a small fortune in 3 or 4 years that set them up for the rest of their lives doing their professional stuff that they did. But they can never tell anyone outside of the people that are close to them, this is how I set myself up, because it's so stigmatized. If we normalized it, not only does it make people, less apt to be assholes about what is, these women's choice, but it also would allow protections in place for sex workers. And I think that's the more important aspect of normalizing it, is to protect the women and men who choose to enter into, and that's important, the ones that choose to be in that line of work, which is the other thing. If you normalize it, then you can look for ones that are being exploited, and the ones that are being exploited have a place to go without fear of being arrested because you are admitting to a crime the minute you try to turn someone in who is doing you harm. And I realized that with her, but also just the way she was so savvy. She was looking at him and says, come here and let me see your hands. She looks at his hands. This was a really, and it's funny you said that, and I agree with you. They took away Jamie Lee Curtis's agency, gave it all to Ophelia, because she's really a well-written,
which is funny because when you
character.
Yeah, when you contrast her, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I was done.
When you contrast her with, what's her name, Penelope?
Oh yes,
yeah.
Yes.
So Penelope is like the problem with society today in how we deal with white women, in particular white feminism, is we get this really intense over-infantilization of white women. And Penelope is grade A in making that stand out in stark contrast to Ophelia.
Yeah.
I made that note early on, and I was like, oh my God, the way she's talking. It was like I had to like just turn away from it because I couldn't deal with the way that she was talking and like their little pet names and the way that he was treating her and the way that she was acting. I was like, you're infuriating to me.
Yeah, their whole, right when they were about to have sex, after they, at the very beginning, just that whole interaction was very unnerving for me. Like,
Yeah.
just so weird. And I was like,
Uncomfortable, right?
there are people that are like that? Is that reality?
Yeah. No, the over-infantilization of white women and the over-sexualization of black women is a noted cultural phenomenon.
It's just that whole thing with the way they reacted was just really bizarre. I was a little taken back too by, and again, I know it was the second movie, so I think there's probably had a lot to do with it because there was a lot of inconsistencies with it. When he would do it, you could hear him drop out of it. The way that Eddie Murphy affected his voice in the beginning of the film when he's the poor lower class guy and he starts to make the switch to not talk as like with that voice, the way he was doing it, that kind of took me off a little bit. Like it was a weird, and I was curious to know, I was like, I wonder if that was like a John Landis choice or an Eddie Murphy choice. I was a little bothered by it. Like that, I was a little bothered by the fact that it was like, that's how you show that somebody's lower class is to have them like.
It sounded more like a skit voice, like a sketch voice.
No, exactly, yeah.
And he was used to using like on SNL because he.
Yeah, it was like he was doing Gumby.
Yeah.
Almost. Yeah.
Wheat.
Yeah.
Something.
Or buckwheat. Yeah, absolutely. That's
When
the character.
When
Yeah.
he changed.
But also, those are very stereotypical.
Oh, 100%.
Black characters. It was like, so when he made that choice, and then of course he goes through the.
Well, he had Gumby as sounded like more like an old Jewish guy.
Yeah.
I'm Gumby, damn it.
Yeah.
So then he went from there, and then now buckwheat.
Yeah, that was
100%.
Yeah.
So I could hear
And
sort of buckwheat with that.
Mr.
Oh,
Rogers'
hey.
Neighborhood.
Yeah.
That's the other one. Yeah, it was like that same kind of thing. So yeah, it was just, I don't know, it was a weird choice for me. I was uncomfortable with it, but again, I know a lot of this is a product of the times, and I know a lot of it is a reflection of the times.
But, and I don't know which came first, the movie or the people, because, and whatever, I know it's fixing to happen, but when you see street people, sometimes they are loud like that. So I don't know if it came from the movie.
Yeah.
They saw somewhere in their lifetime, they saw that movie.
You just had an interesting point I want to talk about that I actually meant to say before this, because I meant to say that Eddie Murphy was portraying seemingly, we don't know because they never really show his life before, but we assume that he's an unhoused individual. And I was going to talk about the word you just used, street. I was going to talk about how words, because this is funny. I was prepared before I took my deep dive to come here and shit on Hannah and tell her this is a line that I think this is stupid, and I'm not gonna cross this. Like, there's just some things where you just go, all right, guys, I think this is just a little too much even for me, and I'm trying really hard to be right, but I just can't. And that is the word homeless versus unhoused. I was like, what the fuck is so wrong with homeless? Blah, blah, blah. I mean, they don't have a home, so therefore but it's the word less. It makes them feel less than. So it's interesting. So that made me go on a deeper dive, a linguistic deep dive.
So wait. Sorry. I'm just gonna pause real quick.
There it goes. Well, you should have started with that whole beginning.
No.
That whole beginning.
I just need to hear you say
No, I'm not going to say it again.
that I was right,
Oh, you.
that you should not be using homeless. You
Yeah.
should be using
Out of
unhoused.
doors.
Because you were trying to fucking argue with me about that point.
I was. And
Wanted to.
yeah, I absolutely was, because I just didn't.
So I was
You were right. Yeah, you were right. Yeah, of course.
I didn't use it.
But I will. No, use street people. That's so much better.
But-
That's so much better.
But I don't know if he's homeless or not.
So-
but he's on the street and he's yelling at me.
So this brings us to a
you don't talk anyway, so does it matter?
I'm keeping myself 20 years in the future where I don't get canceled.
And we
That's
were putting
I'll be-
out of doors. Out of doors is what I was told at one point.
So wait, but so there's a
Out of doors.
so here's the
Like you're outside, like you're out of door, out, not inside.
It's like pull a door
because it
to.
goes back to the hard R word that
Yeah.
you used at the very beginning of the podcast. That the
Ridiculous.
yes,
Okay.
exactly
Yeah,
that
I
one.
want that one. I don't like that one either.
So there's the thing that's basically called the
You should
euphemism.
cut that one. Why'd you bring it back?
It's a thing
I'll
called
believe it.
Okay,
Ooh
great.
la la.
it's a thing called the euphemism treadmill, where
Mm.
basically what happens is a word starts out as very benign.
Yeah.
And then
I still like
because
that
that
word.
word along with was it it starts as, and I'm going to use these words in the clinical context that they were used back in the day. This is very outdated language. But
But
like
before you-
mental retardation and a few of this, they started changing, and then that got
I don't let my
shortened.
kids say it.
That all got shortened, and then they come up with special. But then all of a sudden, and listen, here's the thing that everybody needs to know. This has been happening since the 14th century. We've been doing this, and all of a sudden people start having problems with when you want to change words today. I'm sure they probably had them. Wait, let me finish this.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Because you'll take me off the ADD train.
Oh, well.
God damn, it just happened. They've been doing this since the 14th century, and so they started with that one, and then they started calling everything special.
Yeah.
And then they went, nope, that's not any good anymore because
Because it insinuates.
well, it inspects that that you're special. So then that becomes it. So then that changed. But the other interesting part about that is we still keep those in the
Mentally challenged. Then you're saying he's challenged and he can't do better. And
Yeah. So, but the words still stay in place when we institutionalize them. For instance, the Special Olympics. And so
that didn't change. I thought that was
No.
changed. Jesus.
But
That's
that's
the Paralympics.
I thought it was a handicapable Olympics.
well, I guess maybe it might be Paralympics now.
It might
like,
be now.
but after
But it was
it was
Special Olympics.
for a while, yeah.
Yes.
For a while, even after changing.
Oh, yeah.
The term.
When I was a kid, it was 100%.
Yeah. So, I'd say it's interesting. We have been doing this for years, and then this one of the articles I read basically said the change comes about from
You're affected by it.
from the stakeholders.
Yeah.
So
100%. That's why
we don't need to change the words because they don't
affect.
bother us.
Yeah.
Right. But we need to respect when someone who that word bothers because it describes them.
Mhm. Or someone in their family.
It's the reclamation of words that I think is really interesting too. And I'm sure you're probably getting to this point, but it has to do with the use of the N word.
Yes.
But it also has to do with the Epsiler. We're just not going to touch that one because that one
No.
I don't think we're ever going to get
No.
reclaimed on
The
that
what?
one. But we did reclaim queer.
Yes, that is true.
We
Yeah, I
did
don't like
reclaim
that one.
queer.
Oh, well,
But it's still you can still use it
You
in
can.
a pejorative term.
Oh,
you can, but since they put it in the LGBTQ now,
Yeah.
it's made it more because
But
there was a
you
time.
can tell when people's intent is off because I remember like one of the first days in my gym here, and this was like one of my like, oh shit, we're not in Kansas anymore moments. I walked into the gym and there was a guy who is a cop, and he was talking about
Those guys don't count. They don't count because that's a whole different thing. They're all. I know what you're gonna say. I mean, because I work around a lot of them.
Yeah, he said yeah no it's I can't even repeat
No,
it.
there's
It's
no.
fucking horrible.
And it is because of and it's no excuse, not making an excuse, but it's because it's an alpha male driven establishment.
Yeah, but alpha male is a social construct that doesn't fucking mean anything.
It does when you're surrounded by other alpha males. When you're
But
vying for
again-
the top level, the more hurtful you can be, the more cutting to the bone you can be, the more you keep your
So toxic masculinity.
you keep the other monkeys under you, and you stay on top, and you're the head monkey, then you run everything. So as long as you can talk shit about everybody, but you use those words to keep those people down, even though they're not.
Yeah.
But a lot of them don't want to be called that, so they just shut up and bow their heads and move on.
Yeah.
And it's an alpha male type situation, and that's what they do.
He was talking
have-
about somebody that he tased,
Yeah,
and that he used
Yeah.
that language. I was like, I was like, where the fuck am I? Did I get transported back into the 1940s? should I even be in here?
So
Well, they still used. Oh God!
So the word,
the N word, it's still out there.
Well, I'm well aware.
The words idiot, imbecile, and moron were actually part of a medical classification system of intelligence.
Was that back when Kellogg was using his?
Yeah, it was back in the 14th
Yeah.
century. Imbecile was added in the 60s.
That's when they started doing the
And then they did moron,
oatmeal enemas.
simpleton, feeble-minded, and then they did the mentally handicapped, and that became the standard until that developed negative connotation. Handicapped is outdated and derogatory when used in reference to people, but again, institutionalized concepts of parking spaces and bathroom stalls. But even those are being changed to accessible and disabled.
Been disabled to be stopped before because you have dis on
Is
it.
that part of that?
Handicapable is always that seems like that's more acceptable.
But again, disabled is another term.
Yeah,
that's
because you
being
got dis.
reclaimed.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Disabled is being reclaimed.
So, older terms are generally considered to be ableist and have been superseded by preferred terms disabled, cognitive disability, developmental disability, processing disorder, learning difficulties.
Oh, I got all.
And these are all considered appropriate by stakeholders.
Good because I have.
So so my point of that thing was like I was going to describe. You had said the thing about the street view, and that that reminded me of my rant. I was going to go on about.
Yeah.
I was going to say.
Word rant.
Yeah, I was going to come in and say,
Homeless.
Eddie Murphy played a homeless guy. Fuck you, Hannah.
Yeah.
And then I went to read about it, and I was like, God damn it.
Yeah. Homeless.
There is a problem with this word. And it was like, yeah.
Well, like you said, I'm sorry. There's a problem with everything. Either if you have a bad taste for it or some kind of association with it that causes you to dislike it, it doesn't matter what it is. Apples could be bad tomorrow because your son was born with
But I
apple
think
taste. I don't know.
There's a fundamental
But
issue.
fuck,
though.
these snowflakes are killing us. I'm sorry. Go. And your turn.
Yeah, there's the problem is apples are never going to be a hot button in the same way that language is,
It starts tomorrow.
because
Hope it starts.
inanimate objects like that don't affect people. I mean, there's a very real correlation between people's mental health and language that's used and what they're able to apply to themselves.
You can't call.
If you start calling someone a criminal,
Mm-hmm.
they will internalize that language, and then it becomes a part of the fabric of their being, and it causes issues and wreaks havoc with their relationships, not only with themselves, but with the others and with society when you do that. So you can't do that. I don't give a fuck about people trying to say, oh, well, the snowflakes are just too triggered by everything. That's the other reason I'm going to use content warning instead of trigger warning, because I'm fucking sick of hearing people talk about triggers. But there's a fundamental reason that we have to be conscious of the language that we're using, because we can't intentionally go around hurting people. It's not
I
fair.
say that with children, 100%.
It's not fair to people. You can't tell somebody you're
can't
not
be fat. You can't do all that.
Well, you can't tell somebody you shouldn't feel bad about that. It's not on you to say.
Yeah, that was actually a discussion I had with a therapist not so long ago about this was a side conversation that didn't have anything to do with my own therapy, but we were talking about that exact thing of when someone feels a certain way, you cannot tell them that they can't feel that way or they don't have a right to feel that way. And the other part of that is it goes back to something like, it's not just about the kids. I just don't understand it's not a snowflake. It's
Which, by the way, the other side is more fucking snowflakey than our side.
yeah, no, you're right in that people freak out over shit that like they don't need to even worry about. Like, why are you, this isn't even an issue.
So I don't
about it.
I don't have a side because I don't care. I just don't care about anything. So none of it bothers me.
But
That's the thing.
the point is you care about the other.
No, I don't. I say jokes and make fun of it. I don't really give a shit, to be honest with you. I really don't.
But no, but you should care. Yeah, but what she's saying is, and I will tell you, I'm a product of growing up being bullied, and it has It's
being
caused,
labeled.
yeah, and it has caused irreparable harm in my life. Well, not irreparable. I'm repairing it, but it's taken me decades. It's an ongoing effort.
It is it is irreparable because you're still going to carry those scars. You're still going to have that amygdalic response that immediately you're going to tighten, you're immediately going to clench, even if after, half a second, your body relaxes and you say that it doesn't matter, it's not me anymore. Your instinctive response is now fundamentally altered.
Yeah, it's Pavlov's theory kind of thing. If the bell rings, you're going to salivate.
Right.
Even
you're still going to have that instinctive response.
You have to remind yourself not to salivate, basically.
Right.
Maybe that's why I don't care because of stuff happens.
And you cannot care, and that's fine.
No.
You can't let it affect other people.
Yeah,
that's my
that's
point.
why I don't say anything because I don't care. I joke and stuff and say whatever, but I don't. That's my. I don't see why. Okay, so you feel. I get it. It hurts you. It upsets you. It makes you feel bad. Whatever said or whatever. But you feel bad and then you move on.
But some people can't. That's what we're talking about right now.
I guess that's why I just don't, because I move on.
Right, because it rolls off your back like beads on a duck, right? Like water on a duck's back. But the problem is, not everybody is like that. Sometimes those insults and sometimes those labels sink in and they cause irreparable damage.
And there's some things that get me like,
I'm sure there is something that I could dig out of
if
something
is said that I've already had in my mind, like I'm thinking about it. It's like not suicide per se, but say that something like that was to come up, it would, as somebody that I know had committed suicide or something, and it say I was drinking and that came up, it would bother me. That would bother me then, but stuff like that is what, not someone says something to me, I go, cool, I don't care. Do shit.
But I'm sure there is something that we could dig out in from the lexicon.
Maybe.
And call you that would get you riled up.
No, there's no word that's going to get me riled up. There's none. I can tell you this. I've been called just about everything. The only time, I'll give you 3 motherfuckers. You get 2, and then the third one, we're going to have a talk. Because it's something about motherfucker I don't really like.
But that's what I'm talking about.
But I can walk away from it and not. I'm not going to think about it 3 minutes later. I'm not going to let it ruin my day. I'm not going to. And it's just, I just don't have that. I don't know what it is. I think I'm a sociopath, to be honest with you. I have to fake empathy a lot.
That's not a great thing.
I'm not saying it is.
Quiet, and you were nodding along with me, so I feel I agree.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
But it seemed like it hit like a chord with you.
Everybody, it's just I don't know. I agree. I think people need to get nice to each other.
Yeah, that was in the Bible.
My question is, after Lewis gets arrested and he goes,
he's like back on track. Let's get away from this.
How did they let him into the club dressed like a friggin' that was the one thing I went.
But I have to go before that.
Listen, there's a lot of plot holes in this. If we start pulling threads.
That is a big one. But before he walks in, their a cappella thing.
Yeah.
Dude, is that?
Yeah. What was necessary about that?
That's what I'm wondering. I didn't. That was so.
I think it's to show pretension. I think it's another tokenism, right? Because it's
but is that a thing? Is that ever? Besides movies, do they do that? Do people do that?
Yeah. Have you never heard of the whiff and poofs?
No. I said, I almost said it too. I almost said bad stuff just then. I didn't. I'm growing up as a person.
Todd.
That's progress right there, baby.
Todd, who is...
You can't throw whiff and poofs out there, especially not to do say something like that.
Todd, who's kind of Lewis's romantic foil from the very beginning.
Yeah, he's that playboy.
He actually went to... So they're all Harvard guys. So Todd actually graduated from Yale, the actor.
Which is where the whiff and poofs are from, by the way.
He's from Yale.
Yes.
Right.
You got to stop saying.
So Todd
You'll get me in trouble.
And Harry is Chris. Harry is the one who is Chris Guest's brother. I found that note here. The other note I'd made in moving through that thing is I always think about these things and I don't know. I didn't look to see if he was a thing.
God.
But is John acceptable? Is that an acceptable term? The John?
Yeah.
I would say
still is. I still use my name as John when I get with hookers.
Sex workers.
I'm sorry, safe work.
So, the client. Thanks. All right, I'll use that one. That's better.
That is.
I don't know if the client who showed up with the roses was a somebody, but as a day player, is there a better job than Jamie Lee Curtis reaching in and giving you a kiss?
No.
Like,
I'm telling you, I would have been.
you have one line, and then you get her to give you a kiss. Is there a better?
I'd invent a time machine. Go back and go for that job.
That
I
does.
think this might be even an extra job. Babylon. Margaret, the parties.
Oh yeah.
Rogers kisses an extra.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't see that one.
Yeah. It's
Babylon. Okay.
It's depressing and good all at the same time.
I'll have to go back for that.
That
Leftovers is rough though. But anyway,
I would say better, but
I don't know. Jamie Lee Curtis. Jesus. Well, yeah. I don't know.
So it's funny
I
because
always had a little crush on
this is
Jamie Lee Curtis.
I believe this is the second John Landis movie we've done because we did Spies Like Us was my other pick. I didn't realize I watched so much Landis stuff, which is funny because I worked with his son, Max, wrote Mr. Right. And so it's funny that I keep pulling these Landis things.
was he cool?
Yeah, Max is, well, I'm not going to get into that on the podcast because Max had some really problematic stuff that happened after I worked with him, and I don't know if he's still in the industry. So I won't even touch that one. But anyway, I thought this was interesting that this is the #1 movie in Italy on Italia One every Christmas Eve.
It's a Christmas movie.
14% of the market share. You understand how
I mean,
big the deal
listen.
14% of all Italian households are watching this?
When you put this many opera references in there, like fucking open it up with Lenozzi the Figaro.
Yes,
Like,
I was like, man. And then, of course, we talked about James Belushi as the gorilla. John Landis fought for Jamie Lee Curtis, which Hannah had touched on a little bit, but she'd done so much horror they didn't think she could do it.
she was a hard pitch Paramount.
Yeah, but he
pitch.
fought for her, which is good. I mean, that was nice that he fought for her. I did not realize that back then. Of course, I wouldn't even know who he was anyway. But that Al Franken, and Tom Davis were the baggage handlers.
And what I was glad to see with Al
There were a
Franken,
ton of like weird little cameos in this. Sorry, I didn't.
that's okay. With Al Franken and Tom Davis, the other guy, when they were talking to the gorilla handler, Steven Stucker from Airplane. I was like, holy shit, is that the guy? The
station steward.
Loved him and the Airplane. And then I see this, he's like, same way, everything. I was like, yep, perfect. So yeah, I was happy to see him.
Did you see Landis's little cameo too?
I'm sure I did. I don't.
So right around 25 minutes when Valentine's released from jail, he stands near 3 men in trench coats on the steps of the precinct. Landis has his back to Valentine holding the briefcase, but that is John Landis standing.
But yeah, we never would have.
So the other big one that I meant to say it when you got over it, or when you were talking about it, and we just moved on, was Frank Oz is the cop that pulls out the opera tickets, and of course that is Miss Piggy and Yoda, and you can hear that cop, and it's also
I
don't know why his voice sounded so familiar.
Because he's Miss Piggy and Yoda, and he had that same role in Blues Brothers 2000 and the original Blues Brothers.
Oh wow,
he played the same type cop. So Frank Oz, Miss Piggy and Yoda, and I think he did Fozzie Bear and Sam the Eagle and all those guys. That's why that his voice sounds so, and you can't even hear him kind of thing. I made this again. I'm just gonna have to say this one more time. Blackface. Oh fuck me. Why? Like, what was the fuck? That one, and of course the other one that gave me the heebies was when he called her a whore. Bothered me.
Yeah, I was gonna lose a kidney. I got that wrote down too.
Yeah. And did y'all see that it was? I'd go back and look at it. Giancarlo Esposito from Breaking Bad was the cellmate. The cellmate?
Yep.
There was two cellmates that were standing next to him, and he was the black cellmate that was standing there.
Now you said that, yeah. Because I saw him and went, I know that.
Yeah.
I met him. I know that guy. Yeah, that's him.
Yeah.
I didn't place him till you just said it. It sure is.
Steven Stucker has
He's got the same hairstyle.
Master. Airplane. I noticed when the actual traders, when they're showing the you could really tell that they ADR'd all of Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy's lines when they're talking to each other on the trading floor.
Mm-hmm.
You could just tell it was like
too clear.
It was dubbed like it was such.
But you could hear cut out like soft, the background.
Yeah. And then my kind of, and I'll go around the room here in a second, but my kind of final note that I had made was I loved the credits. I love how each one was like the end of a take where they were cracking a character or something as the credits. I thought that was I really liked that. So that's kind of like covers most of my stuff with the movie. Hannah, what's anything else that we missed that you want to talk about and cover?
Looking for something. I can't find it now. I mean, there's just there is a lot in this. I mean,
what were your initial thoughts?
That was what I was going to say. So this film, there's another like really kind of meta reference, and it's that of the Janus coin, which I don't know if you're familiar with that. So this entire film is a Janus coin. If you think about it and the symbolism that it represents and all of that, the original title for this film was Black and White.
Yeah, I knew that. He's
$100 to anyone who come up with a better name. Yeah. But it really is, I mean, a true Janus coin of a film when you think about it. I always thought that was like really interesting.
Yeah, it was
and then there's the Smurfette principle. Sorry, Terry.
No, the environment versus breeding.
What is the?
Okay, so that is a principle that Katha Pollitt, I believe is how her name is pronounced, who's a feminist writer, and it refers to a film or TV show in which there's just one woman and several men, and the woman's role is simply to look pretty and be rescued by the men. Now, I will note, to me at least, that this is another Janus coin principle where we have this, but she actually does save Winthorpe. Like, there's no way that he survives without her in this film after everything gets taken from him, especially when he ends up sick. There's zero chance that he survives without her.
Yeah.
Because we all know that men are babies when you guys get sick.
That's true.
100%.
That's true.
No, I'm horrible. I ain't gonna lie. I'm terrible. Yeah, the bet was based on environment versus breeding.
Yeah, nature versus nurture.
Yeah, and that's I knew. I just put what they put. I knew that.
Yeah.
But I didn't. Yeah. So anyway, that's what they said. So with them, and that's what the whole thing was between them. And I love the Stevie Wonder impression. As the cops walk up, that's one of his. Yeah,
that's one of his deals.
Yeah. So when he comes, like that was part of the whole loud black man, and then when the cops come up, Stevie Wonder thing. So I love that. Agent Orange was his code name. That was great. Zang Bang Ding. That's where I was from.
Yeah.
The motherfucker. Oh, sorry. When he says, when they arrested him, and they go, "You from a broken home?" Yeah, we was broke. So what?
Yeah.
That's hilarious. That was funny. I don't know if that was written or Eddie Murphy. Wouldn't know. He did. Hey, Mortimer. Yeah, talk about the. It says he's a Negro. He's probably been stealing since he could crawl.
Yeah, that was part of the things where I said they were saying all the parts out loud.
Yeah, and that's one of
they were making them say that.
That one, that first. Well, the rest of them, I think that one numbed me to everything else.
Yeah.
Because when I heard it, I went. Oh.
No, I just basically went. These guys are talking.
Giving intention.
Yeah. These guys are talking exactly how these old white fuckers would talk.
That was the one that stood out to me. The rest of them, the N word, you knew probably was coming at some point. They used the Negro a lot, so you knew the other one was coming.
Yeah.
So, but this one, that one line made me go.
And that one I think they saved so it had the impact that it.
Yeah.
Because it was impactful in the way that he said it.
Yeah.
And the fact that Eddie Murphy overhears it.
And you're running a company.
They would have used that word.
Anytime.
All the rest of the time they're using the other. It wouldn't have had the impact.
Yeah. Because it was over running their company. We can't have that running our company.
Yeah.
So that right there just went, it stung a little bit more.
Yeah.
But that line, when I heard that one, the rest of them, off and on about whatever. But that one, when he said that one, they were all just talking fast, and I heard it, and it still stuck with me.
A lot of homophobia in this, like it's more of the even with the gorillas, very much homophobic. That whole sequence is homophobic with the gorillas, and
that was the note that I made about it being a Janus coin, because it reaches backwards to these really old prejudices.
Yeah.
And then in a lot of ways, it's really modern.
Yeah.
And it's this like, we hit this turn of the new year right in the middle of the film, and it just flips everything, and it's like a reassessment of troubling art, essentially at its core.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, it's definitely, and I think, again, and we see this is the other really interesting thing about doing this podcast and going back and watching old movies, is you can really see what a reflection of the times, like every movie that we watch, it's filmmakers holding a mirror up to society. That's what film is.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes it's, but
I would argue that The Thin Man was well ahead of its time.
Oh, yeah. Now listen, that's also true in that that sometimes they're showing us, and same thing,
Citizen
Kane.
And I would argue Pink Panther too, because he is very much not this alpha masculine.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, but it's just funny to look at that and see that again. This was back, and then you had Oliver Stone came along not too long after this and did Wall Street, and this was the whole greed is good era, and he was holding that up. And you look at, I saw the computer trading thing, and I went, oh shit. You guys, I just watched the documentary on Bernie Madoff, and
oh my God,
he revolutionized computer trading, but he revolutionized it so that he could do the fake trades under the 2 floors down. He made a trades platform just so he could exploit the trading.
And he used really outdated technology. Oh man, I accidentally made my mom feel so old when I was watching that documentary, because I had to ask her what a dot matrix printer was. Because I was like, what in the fuck?
Yeah.
Because they kept bringing it up, and I was like, what is this? And my mom was like, oh, now I feel old. And so she explained it to me, and I went, I'm sorry. I was like, I probably could have Googled that one.
We had a computer lab.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what we had.
That's what we had.
And because when you printed your little dot matrix
pixel
thing, they made you, and then you had to do one where you animated it. You were like working in DOS or whatever.
Yeah, that's all.
You had a graph paper, and you like put all the points on the graph paper, and you drew a picture, and then every dot represented a dot on the computer, and then you put in your X and Y.
Oh, well, that was
X's numbers and da 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 da, and you're basically writing computer code is what we did.
Yeah, and still I cannot remember how to do it this day. We had one for the TV where you typed it in. It wasn't TV, it was a thing, but it ran off your television.
Class, man, I love that class. I made an opus in that class. In that class.
But
we did.
Yeah,
we did it to where it have stuff flying across the screen.
I don't know.
You would type in, and you would type in the open, closed, in between, style, run, and then once you run it, it would change. The screen would change colors, and then you would have octagon. You'd have stuff run across the screen. It was like a screen. You were creating a screensaver, pretty much, is what it looked like.
Well, I remember talking to you because I do some coding now, right, for my work, and I was talking to one of my dad's friends, and he was like, would you believe that coding used to look like this? And so he was like explaining it to me of like how they used to have like these long reams of paper with the code written out, and you'd have to feed it into the computer, and if it was wrong, then you'd have to rerun the whole thing, and it would take a full day to run it.
Well, that's a whole. We had to type everything up, and I guess.
And they had like punch codes too.
Yeah.
Because like at Tulane, one of our like halls, Stern Hall, which is where all of the like hard sciences, like I had bio and physics mostly actually in that building. And I remember when we were doing the tour when we were first there, and they were like, yeah, you see all these like windows, right? And we were like, yeah, why are they spaced so weirdly? And they were like, so that's an outdated feature. When that hall was built, they had like the punch cards that would basically translate the whole punch outs into letters. And this was back when Tulane and LSU were in the same conference. Of course, now we would get blown the fuck out. Although we did beat USC, I will mention. Um, that hall, I guess if you had like coded that into like a punch card and like fed it into a computer, it would have said beat LSU. Yeah. So, I mean, that's how coding used to be. And I was like, that's crazy because now I sit here and I type like alphabet chains and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah, it's,
case
I
when,
think it's
you know,
now it seems
like regex and stuff.
it still is, you know,
Oh, it's much easier now.
but still, because people do it.
I mean, I can show you some of my chains.
I think my son's learning it in school. He's 8. Yeah, I think they're talking about it now. My
Yep.
daughter could do it. They're teaching all kinds of things.
That's my work nickname, mad scientist. It says that in my like work signature. Yeah. Here, I'll show you some coding.
I just sent an email out because someone I know knows this person that has 2 voiceover companies. So I'm getting hooked up through him.
Hey, look at you go.
Nice. It's very big companies too, so I'm very happy about this. I'm waiting on the email from him. I don't give a you pay me enough money, I'll read the Bible to you. I don't care what it is. And that's a long motherfucker. War and Peace, that's the next. I don't care. Just pay me.
So we were apparently, I think we were coding on a language called Logo.
Oh, yeah. That's it. Remember the thing that would come up? They had a thing that come up on the screen as you do it when we turned them on. It was Logo. That was it.
Bucks.
I remember that.
Yeah, that was.
I can't see that. What is it? I don't know what it is. It's
code.
and that's not going to matter from here.
That's code.
Oh, okay. I get it. Replace.
Yeah,
Okay.
Their calculation builder is a hot mess.
Oh, fuck that shit.
But yeah, so I had to do a nested regex to
And yeah, that's
pull
awesome.
stuff out. But yeah,
But I can't do that. I got an old brain. I don't get the updates.
it's not that malleable,
No,
pliable
I
brain.
hadn't got. I know. I had got.
So I guess wrapping it down, initial thoughts, gents.
I like the movie.
Matt's like, not a musical in color.
Yeah.
Check. Yeah, I was entertained.
I watched the movie. When I watched the movies, no, I did do that. God, I had to watch it when I got off. My son had 2 ball games this morning, so I had to be there at 8:00, and then he had one at 9:45. So as soon as they finished, because last night I started to watch it, and I made the big mistake of laying down. Never, can't do that. I got cinematic narcolepsy, and as soon as the movie starts, I'm asleep.
Seems to afflict a lot of men.
Yeah, it does. It will if I lay down. If I'm sitting up, I'm fine. Because usually my back's hurting, so it keeps me awake. But if I lay down, it's over.
Our friend out at the maze said the more horizontal he gets, the closer to horizontal he gets,
Yeah.
the faster he starts slipping into
Declining,
that. Yeah.
100%. I don't know what it is. I know a lot of women with that when they lay down and then you're asleep. Usually I'm up by myself, but if I lay down, it's over. So I started last night. I finished today. I watched the movie. I guess out in my brain, it's like I know this movie's made at this time.
Yeah.
So I watch it in that time.
Right.
You know, so,
Of course.
so that's what I do. So I don't go after it's over. I do pick out, because I guess I swap back and forth. Because I watch it for the entertainment. I know what they're saying was acceptable then. I know it.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm like,
We understand.
yeah, so this is all. But then I also know that it's not acceptable now. So I enjoy it for that. So I enjoy the movie. I like the movie. I really did. I liked it back when I watched it as a kid. But like you said, I never truly fully watched this movie.
Yeah. Exactly.
I never did. I watched it because Eddie Murphy, Dan Aykroyd. It was funny. They had funny lines. I picked up the funny lines. I'd repeat the funny lines. Just like when I did Eddie Murphy's Delirious.
Yeah.
When it came out. Memorized it.
Yeah.
Slayed at school with it. All the comedy. I did everything. I did Goonie Goo Goo and, she's a Bigfoot bitch. I did all that. Knew it all. His aunt falling out of the stairs. Blue, 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 blue. Lord help me, Jesus. Did all that. So at that time, it was great. I loved it. But Eddie Murphy's great. I love the movie. It was a good movie. They did have problems, of course, now with people watching it because of people's feelings and the way things are, words used and stuff like that. I get it. But I really love the movie.
No, I listen. I did.
I can watch it without it. Yeah.
The only if they took out 2 things for me in this movie, I would not have cringed even.
Okay.
Like,
Which?
all the homophobia.
Yeah,
bothers
I didn't. I thought that's really stood out to me for some reason. I don't know why it did to me. Maybe I just because I have a lot of friends.
F word is so hard.
It is, and I have
hard word.
I have
Such a hard
ton of gay friends,
and it's so derogatory.
and because with me, I would never use it. I guess. And I don't use it just to be. I don't use it anywhere.
It was used against me as a kid.
Really? See, well, I was called gay more when I got older. When I was a kid, I just got tripped, and when I hit the floor again, I'd slide. The guy would ask me, "How was your trip?" It was funny. But I did. But that stuff happened to me. It's whatever. But then I'd like to tell him today that it bothered me, but he's dead, so I'm happy.
Yeah, so I would do.
So
I would do.
he died in a car wreck.
I would do. The homophobia, and then I'm gonna say this for the fourth time. The black face damn. I was so fucking unholy when he showed.
I get it. I know it's wrong, but I guess I took it for what it was. You know, he was in costume. He came in. I know it's wrong. I know it is.
Just wonder, you wonder, it's.
But it was so much back then when we were younger.
No, but what you wonder is
that it's a joke. But I get it.
What you wonder is.
But what about white girls? I'm not even starting this. Let's stop. Let's just keep going. What you're doing.
What you wonder is, well.
No. We're not going to do it.
We can talk about.
No, go.
We
just
can
keep
talk
going.
about.
Keep
the
going.
history of blackface.
I don't want to get on it.
It's a whole.
I know it is. Keep going. I get it. I get it. It was a joke. I was making a joke. I don't want to go that far. That's fucking hilarious. The best movie. I still loved it. I don't care.
Also, but that's also, it was social commentary.
Yeah.
It's social commentary.
But it was great.
It's social commentary.
They couldn't do it today at all, but.
Yeah,
You remake Tropic Thunder 2.0.
No.
I think they could.
Well, yeah, they could.
I think they could, because again, it's the social commentary.
But he would still be, he would just be someone else if they did it. I don't know. They wouldn't bring
Also, here's the other part about it, too, is I think that as long as,
it's probably not offensively.
Not that. You cannot, it has to be done from the point where it doesn't take an opportunity away from an actual person of color.
Oh, yeah.
That's really
made.
And in this case, it didn't. So I think if you're going to do something like that, then you have to create a few more opportunities for there to be some more inclusion in your film in other places. If it's part of the story. I can see it. But yeah, if you take those two things out, I don't have a problem with the film, even because, like I said, I think that the other problems that it has need to be there because it's a true story about those old fuckers.
Yeah. Well, definitely the gay slurs, no.
Yeah.
And just blackface didn't need to be there. It didn't need to be there.
Yeah, no.
It wasn't even.
Exactly.
It didn't enhance the story.
That's right.
It didn't push the story forward.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It was there to put on as to be funny and poke a
You could have put him in a fake beard and shit. And
made him a lumberjack, just out of place lumberjack. Anything.
Yeah,
you could have done anything with it. It was there to create fun, poke fun.
Yeah.
Because look, he's doing blackface. That's what it was, and we know that. But so I didn't care for that either. I have it in the notes. So
it's that those two things. Like I said, the rest of it I think is.
It originally was a reflection. I think just to show.
One of the things we didn't mention that was in my notes, and I forgot we mentioned Eddie Murphy hiring John Landis to do Coming America, but we forgot to mention the fact that Ralph Bellamy and Don Amici both make cameos
in them. Yeah.
As their character.
As the
character. And the tent down by the river.
And the prince gives them
the money.
We're
back in business, Mortimer.
Such a great. That was one of the probably one of the best cameo. That was.
It was funny that it was taken away, and then this. He gives it back.
Yeah.
It was
a cool thing for Coming America, and then the whole that's all Eddie Murphy, and it's him bringing them back, and it's funny because they said that Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy were not familiar with Don Amici and Ralph Bellamy, even though they were Hollywood legends, and they were not familiar with them. And it was Eddie's second film. It was like Amici's 90. It was like Bellamy's 99th and Amici something and Aykroyd's. Anyway, Eddie, who had two films, used to run around set and say, between the three of us, we made 150 movies all together. And Eddie only made 150.
Yeah.
But it was cool for him to bring those guys, back, and you can see, again, even though him and Landis had those issues with the trial, he still. Eddie said he didn't even realize it was an issue until years later.
Yeah.
But so.
I ever get a big movie, I'm bringing Jack Palance back. Seance, but he's going to be there. 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 And Richard Moulton, I'm bringing.
You're starting to sound like that Dennis Leary asshole. bit. And like when they find a cure for cancer, I'm gonna thaw out the Duke. He's gonna be pissed off.
Yeah.
Bring the Duke back and John Cassavetes.
All of it.
Like, yeah, he's just like, that's what you sound like right there when you're bringing Jack.
That's pretty good then. I'm on the right track. We keep going.
What else? Where are we?
We're done.
She had the
Initial thoughts.
We're done.
Me, I mean, when I saw what the premise of the film was, I was like, oh, this should be interesting. It's not like it's not an overwrought or, particularly trite topic at this point, but I was like, oh, this should be interesting. It's Eddie Murphy, Dan Aykroyd, and then I started watching it and went, okay. And I was gonna be like, the actual fuck did you make me watch?
But it's
So good.
But did it at least like for you? Did it at least kind of level itself out and earn some of the? Not all. Obviously, we're not talking about. I'm not talking about the whole.
Once I figured out why they were doing certain things, I mean, I still could have done without the language, but I understood why they were doing it.
Yeah, that was my thing. It's like, as long as.
But yeah, obviously there were elements that I was like,
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, and
also, I also just want to make the note that sunken jacuzzi tub is so fucking 1980s.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Those are making a comeback. They call them garden tubs now, and it's like, I remember my uncle had one in his apartment in Beverly Hills, and I just remember thinking like, because it's a tile bathroom.
Water. That's what I'd be thinking.
I was like, it's a tile bathroom, and he didn't have a step up.
There's a reason why I don't use bathtubs at hotel rooms.
Thank you.
And I was
Yeah,
like,
I will not draw a bath in a hotel room.
and I was like looking at it, and I was like, it's a tile tub, and the tub is. I was like, I can see myself slipping and taking a header right into that. I was like, who thought of this idea?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, it's you got our stuff pulled up.
I do not have.
Oh, I thought you. Let's see. Okay.
I have social stuff pulled up.
So,
It's not
well,
right
we'll
now.
ask you because you're always the one that we depend on for the Bechdel test. How it didn't do well at all, did it? Because there's no conversations between two women in this at all. Are there?
Is there a second woman that has a name?
You're right.
Consuelo? No, it was not.
Yeah.
No. No.
That's like, I got it.
Yeah. I didn't think it did because I was trying.
Yeah, no,
I was trying to think about. I was trying to think of just the conversations wise. I didn't even think. I forgot about the whole name thing.
Yeah, Penelope's in it, but they didn't talk.
They don't ever have a conversation. There's no conversation between the two of them.
Yeah, the girl.
The
well,
girls at the
all the
table.
women are named. They just don't have a conversation.
Yeah, well, I was thinking of the table when they were sitting there with acapella. They
Nope.
talked.
They're talking to the
did
dudes.
not talk to the dudes. Aykroyd walks in. No. Penelope talks to him all the time.
Yeah, and
I
then,
just got it on like fast forward times 8 through. So
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah, I'm just.
well, I can tell you.
I know.
She probably already like looked up the deal, and if they would have had it, she would have been able to name.
Yeah, I
the
can't.
exact conversation, the exact minute at the exact time. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, no, you're right. I just
We
can't.
can't second guess her on that one. That's why I just go. I don't even do it anymore. I just because I know she does it.
Yeah.
I mean, I do it in my head, but I don't go because I know I'm throwing that question to her because I know she.
Well, I just became familiar with it.
it only passes one of the three, which is that they have two characters that are named, but they
Right.
never have a conversation with each other.
Yeah.
It's always about me, and they never.
And there's never a conversation. Well, I mean, there's no conversation between
At all.
two named women ever.
Yeah.
In this entire thing, they keep both of these women on polar opposite sides of their
Yeah.
respective social classes.
Yeah. Even when Jamie Lee
There's a
Curtis came
hard
on,
line of segregation through this film.
was like, "I need, give me your thing." She never spoke to Penelope. Was there?
Yeah.
I thought that for a second, but I was like, "Nope, no."
They never talk to each other.
I was trying to find anything. I don't know.
Like I said.
Computers can be wrong sometimes.
I mean, there's like maybe like,
bank
but
account
you'd be
is $1,000.
fucking splitting a hair
Yeah,
razor thin.
that's
at
what I
this
was trying
point.
to find.
When she tells that joke, which is from Auntie Mamie, by the way,
Mhm.
about
Yeah.
and she stepped on a ball.
Mhm.
I mean, that's technically between two women, but we don't
I
know the
know.
front side of that joke.
To the whole table, right?
She's telling it to the whole table. She's also not named.
No.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, it's like there is a conversation that happens between two women. We don't know because we don't know the context of the joke
Yeah,
because all we hear is the punchline. It very well could be about a man.
Yeah.
that could be.
So, but they're also not named, so it's irrelevant anyway.
So yeah, so no on that. Next.
Diverse. It's a diverse film.
Yeah, there are some fucking hard ass stereotypes though in this.
Yeah, there are hard-ass stereotypes. Obviously, the two big black guys in the jail cell,
Yeah.
those guys are stereotypes. Pretty much, honestly, all of you were, but
Well, there's the whole karate man stereotype too. That was
I make you drop a quarter, 2 quarts of blood right there.
Bruce Lee was my teacher.
He is my teacher. That right there, that's called, I don't know what they call it, like a licture or something.
Yeah, it was.
Right there, make a man drop 2 quarts of blood.
It was a really diverse. It was really, really diverse, even in places that you could see he interjected, people of color in places where it was extremely white, like
Yeah.
I said, like the club. Even though when you got to the trading floor, like at Denny's, as you could tell, he took some advantage of those. But yeah, there were a lot of even
then he doesn't do things with them. That's the infuriating part
Yeah.
to me.
They're there for,
yeah,
they're for like,
Tokenism.
yeah, it is.
yeah.
In some respects, but also I think it goes back to, in some cases, it's the social commentary of they're in the know of what's really going on. They're not as stupid as these people make them out to be. They're pretty intelligent. Would you remake it?
Yes, I'd remake it. I would. Yeah, I loved it, but there are some fucking phenomenal.
I can tell you who I would put in it.
Will Ferrell and
Jesus.
no, yeah, he would do good. Remember Get Hard?
Yeah, but
He could play.
I was thinking of Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart would be good. I was thinking of Kenan Thompson. He could do good.
Oh yeah,
He's so fucking awesome. He's one of the.
yeah.
Oh, they would be good. Yeah, yeah.
It would actually be good.
Key I feel would be.
I was just about to say, would actually be good
If you just paid it.
It was.
Yeah.
You didn't do a
Wasn't white.
racial thing.
Yeah.
You just did
Yeah.
you did Key and Peele. Like
That would be hilarious.
So they
Hilarious.
did actually do a remake of this, but they did it for Broadway. They made it a musical. They made
Matt's out.
loved it.
Yeah.
They made Eddie Murphy's character a woman,
Interesting.
and they made Ophelia a trans woman.
Oh, really? When did this run?
Last year.
Wow. Never even heard of it.
Yeah, that's cool though.
That's something. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't remake it, but I think if you did, you could really.
May to June of last year.
Yeah, I think it's, again, it was just one of those things. It's like, although, I mean, honestly, there is a lot of this stuff.
There are the characters that they chose.
A lot of this stuff with
I'd love to see that.
the racial.
Is it still not? Is it still going, or is it done? Or?
It only ran from May to June. It looks like there's some YouTube clips, so you might be able to just look up Trading Places musical. Money Isn't Everything being like one of like the main songs kind of thing. And there's like a teaser trailer and some other stuff. But yeah,
Have you seen the? I get off of this, but if you seen the peripheral,
No.
there's a trans woman in there. Fucking phenomenal. She stole it from me. She was so good. Alexandra Billings.
I think
that name is familiar.
She is. Yeah, she's done a lot of other stuff, but she is. Oh my God, so good. You hashtag her to this and hope she sees it, because I'm telling you, she stole it for me. She was the inspector in the show, and when she showed up, I just immediately fell in love with her. So good.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm gonna tag Jamie Lee Curtis because she's our forever crush.
Yeah, I will go back in time to try to get next to her. I'll tell you now. I'll invent a time machine.
Alexandra Billings.
Yes.
I'll find the time.
Alexandra Billings, Inspector Amesley or something in there. But anyway, she stole the show from me. It was, oh my God, so good.
Oh, she was in The Rookie. That's where
I don't think I've seen that.
that was the Nathan Fillion vehicle about.
What is she? I did watch that.
She was one of the sergeants. She was only in like an episode.
Okay, I was gonna say she must have flew through, because I watched it off and on. It was good. It was pretty good. I need to watch it. But I'm telling you, it's only 5 or 6. I don't remember 6 episodes. It's not bad. It's a good show.
Yeah, it's on my list.
It's a good show. But when she comes on the scene and starts doing, she's going to steal it. I'm telling you right now. The acting is wonderful from her. Oh, she is. Really, I mean, I like that. I like that look anyway. So
I'll check it out.
It's really good.
What are your final thoughts?
Oh, that's it. I liked it. Like you said, I've liked this as a kid when I watched it, but the same issues was, the blackface and the gay slur. I didn't care for those. The rest of it, I tried to watch it as it is, and laugh whenever appropriate, and I could see the problems, 100%. But yeah, definitely would remake it and put some, I mean, you tidy it up, you can punch it up here, make it more funny here, bring it back, whatever you need to do.
Well, I mean,
but it's still a good story, and you can make it funny with who you have now.
Still socially relevant.
Yeah.
Greed is still relevant.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Greeters are relevant. Racial profiling is still relevant.
Still there.
All of that is still something.
Mm-hmm.
Matt?
I liked it. All the stuff y'all said. I agree.
So insightful.
I know.
Right, Adam.
I was going to say, because
Matt, you can just pre-record your stuff.
yeah, I think you're good.
I could just drop you
If you got things to do besides here,
Yeah, I mean, you can pre-record, and I just
put a in.
I mean, really, what I could do is just I could just use that thing that we always use to do the numbers. It auto generates numbers.
Oh yeah, you just hit it, throw one out there every now and then.
Just go all right.
Randomly throw out.
At 107, we'll throw his little comment here and there.
Yeah, I mean, it would. I mean, if you got stuff to do.
Listen, and it would be just out of nowhere and out of context, which most of the stuff is.
Yeah.
It matches. Everything matches.
Yeah, and then, every now and then it would come out, and they'd be like, damn, that Matt coming out of nowhere. So you enjoyed the movie, and you agree with us about the problems. I mean, like what? What?
And homophobia.
Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, that was one.
That's how they talk. But when I heard it, I was watching it on my phone, and I was like, well, what? But
yeah, you think it made a lesser impact because it was on your phone? Because it's smaller?
No, you sent me a shitty link to it.
Okay, first off, this bitch don't want to pay for nothing. I send him free shit, and he bitches. You hear this? You hear this? You see how underappreciated I am at my time? It was 2 movies.
And then it must have been.
It was a VHS tape. It was recorded from VHS tape. Only one I could find that was free. The other one, you'd have to really. So this fucker.
I watched it through my Paramount Plus.
Yeah. Oh, that's on there? I have that. Fuck.
When I logged on, it said that I needed Showtime.
Yeah, me too. That's why I couldn't do it.
You got yours to access just fine?
I didn't. No, mine popped up and said you had to, and let me have it.
I might have.
You did add a Showtime. I know you did.
Okay.
You had to have, because I didn't, because I couldn't watch it. Yeah.
I am the world's worst. I need this. It's true.
You needed it this
I
time.
need to do this. And, okay.
So when are you going to get rid of Showtime? Next week? 7 days?
No, because my Paramount Plus is free. So, because I get it through Verizon. Gave me this
I don't get that through there. I get
the
Hulu.
Showtime deal
Yeah.
is actually just the additional thing. I'm going to keep it.
Okay.
Because there's a bunch of Paramount movies.
Yeah, no, I would love Paramount.
There was, right at Beverly Hills Cop is on there, which is another movie I want to throw
All
on.
the Superman. Is that the one? That's on something else. No, it is. I can't remember.
No, that'd be Warner Bros.
Maybe it is. That's different, yeah. This I watched everything that comes on. Everything on Paramount I go through, and I watch all of it. I love it. Not adding the Showtime. I don't get it for free. So I get Hulu and Discovery, something else.
Discovery is something I'm interested in.
Yeah, I have that.
I know, but
for sure.
Yeah, I saw that.
Standalone.
Good.
Definitely.
Because I get them for free now through Verizon. So I get those they tack it a little, but I still pay for it. But HBO Max? I don't think so.
Oh, I have a fucking bone to pick with you. I finished The Sopranos, and that fucking ending.
Yeah, the ending was wonderful, wasn't it? I put that in quotations. Everybody. That was it. Just one click. God.
But then he said a year ago he died.
Well, yeah.
He said a year ago Dave Chase came out and said, "Oh, yeah, he got whacked in that."
So you're like, fuck. Yeah, I remember him saying that.
No, didn't they leave it open ended in case they were gonna?
Well, and then
I don't know.
Gandolfini died, and they were like,
I hate
So,
that too. Him and
Tell me, you finished it. Tell me that the scene with Silvio and Adriana is not one of the most heart-wrenching but great scenes. That one was the best scene.
the one where she murdered, where he
Yeah.
killed her.
wow, that's a spoiler alert.
I don't remember telling you that.
The Christmas party in the other.
And then,
Oh, I was.
and then
Oh, I
the other
didn't know.
one that
I can't be responsible for
my
that.
favorite scenes is Paulie and Christopher walking through the woods.
He loses his shoe.
Yeah, that was funny.
Oh, my God.
Lost it in the mud, the shoe. That was a good one. I haven't watched all of it. I've never watched all the Sopranos. I've seen the ones you're talking about. I just happened to see.
Yeah.
Telling like he's a.
So what's our question of the week?
Oh God.
Oh shit. No, that's. Oh, you're right.
No question. No. The themes are next week.
Oh, good. I'm glad you gave me some.
You got
Yeah.
you got sometimes.
Not on the right on the spot. I can't do them.
I haven't watched Adventures of the Babysitting yet.
I haven't watched it in so long. I don't either.
Elizabeth Shue, baby.
That's right. In the prime, baby. She's still fine. Oh my God. The boys. Oh, damn. She looked good young. She looks amazing older. It's just something about her just got way hotter.
I couldn't get
No.
bored.
I haven't got it. I think I started it, but I stopped. I don't think I liked it. I can't remember liking it. I started it and then I fell asleep.
I couldn't get past the first 2 episodes.
I'm gonna watch it. I'd give it a chance. White Lotus. Is that where the hotel or something? Is it? Okay, that's why I didn't like it. I'll start to give it a chance though. But yeah, Elizabeth Shue, older, and the boys. Something about she keeps. Oh. And then
Season's definitely better than the first.
and then Homelander sucking milk from the tap. That was awesome. Of what?
All right.
What?
I got a question for you guys.
All right, shoot.
Ready?
Like True Detective.
What is one item on your bucket list?
Have sex with a midget. That's just one. But we're gonna go
Little person.
a little person. See, I'm old. I'm an old guy.
Old dogs, new tricks.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's all right. I learn them and then I forget them because I'm old. That's what happens. That's not the main one. On my bucket list, mine is to. Man, I knocked off one working with Garrett. That was a good one.
Garrett's like, never again.
No, I was just saying, want to kiss it.
I had to throw it out there. That was on my list of acting. That was my bucket list of acting. It was to work with my teacher, so I got that one out of the way. But as far as the midget is on. The little person is on there, 100%.
Matt?
Be able to buy all the.
Oh damn it! That was mine one too. That was a good one. That was a good one. I got that one on there too. When I make enough to buy my house. Yeah, no, but you're right. Mine's on there. Hopefully, I can one day.
Well, the problem with me is that
You've achieved it all.
no, it's more like when you throw a question out there like that to me.
So open
I feel
ended.
I feel like the answer needs to be
Doesn't need to be aspirational.
You wanted something to say
not
like
aspirational, honest, introspective. I'm putting this when I say it. I'm putting it
to
out.
make us all feel like assholes in a second here.
I'm putting it out into the ether.
yeah.
So it's like
Oh, I really want that little person, so we're good. Let's put it out there.
it's like if I'm going to say it, I want it
Yeah.
to manifest it.
Gotcha. You put it in the universe.
And about half of it I can't say for you guys, so I would say maybe
You think about
Oh.
killing us?
no, nothing like that.
Murders on your bucket list? Jesus.
No, you know what? This is what I want. I tell you what I want.
Okay.
I want my bucket list is this. My bucket list is to find a way to live forever. However, wait, but
He's going to freeze himself like Walt Disney.
no,
No.
not in that. No, not
But without the anti-Semitism.
No.
well, not even in that sense. It is. I want to leave such a indelible mark on this universe. So my goal my bucket list is to, and whether it's one of my kids or someone else, my bucket list is to find a steward for my legacy, so that when I am no longer here in the physical being, I am still here and will forever remain here. And then I want that person to find a steward for my legacy, and that just, it never ends.
Yes.
I just want to be, when my great-grandchildren are on this planet, I want them to be able to look back and be like, that was my fucking great-granddad. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So that's my bucket list.
Told you he's gonna make us all feel like assholes.
No. I mean, I get it, but I don't. I think mine will be.
Yeah, because you like, I will already have procreated, and my DNA will live on forever.
Even my name.
That is the
Creation.
I think that's the, I mean, that's, you're constantly looking for why you're here and what we're doing. And for me, that's my answer of like, is making a mark. And part of it is, making a mark with your passing on your lineage. And then the other part of that, like I said, is making a difference. And, yeah, I think that's the things. And the other things, like for me, arbitrarily, I have 1,000 things I want to do.
Yep.
Before I die, but so many things I want to do.
But that's the main thing.
None of them are like, I need to do this.
Yeah.
I was telling the other day, honestly, and this is really true when I look at it, especially almost having children that are like almost grown. I have looked back recently and realized that I have had a very fulfilling life. I've lived 100 lifetimes. In relation to what most people do, I've had multiple careers. I've had lovers that run the gamut that made differences in my life. I mean, just when I look at, have my children, when I look at my life, it really is fulfilled. There's nothing I need to do.
Yeah.
I really could, I feel like, even with what I've done, die tomorrow and have felt like I've left somewhat of a mark and done, but there's more to accomplish. So that's the thing. I don't have one of those, like,
I've said that about the dying part. Like if I died now, I've done so many things that there's really, I mean, you go, I want to go see this. I've seen so many things.
Yeah.
Been so many places.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I've got my kids, which I'm glad I've got, daughters and sons. I've got 20, almost 30-year-old son. I've got everything out there. I've accomplished things that I never thought I would do. I never did. And I know what you're saying. I get it. That's not high on my list, because my list is a bucket list. That's a life list for me. That's something I want to do. My bucket list before I die, I just want to, I want to go see the moon. I want to go out in outer space.
Now, as someone who I know has experienced life, even in your young years, in ways, unimaginable ways, probably for even some of us. So I'm really curious to hear what your bucket list is.
I want to get back on stage as a front man.
That's awesome.
I mean, if we're gonna manifest some shit,
There you go.
I was a punk front man. I'd love to do it again.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Maybe we just need to create a vehicle.
Venue for that.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I mean, mine's easy.
So so we'll
Terry can buy his.
Yeah.
That's it. I can finish. Every time I want to do it, I can get it done. I can go to Longview. What are you talking about? Longview and get that shit done. I ain't got to go that far. Fuck Vegas.
We'll be back in a couple of weeks.
I'll go around the corner.
Adventures in Babysitting.
I'll leave you guys with this little fun fact, because I always give you some weird little like setting thing.
Mm-hmm.
The wreath that was on the door at his
He's beating on that door.
it was not big enough for what they wanted. I mean, this is like some like tiny horse exposition fairy dust, like what we did with John Wayne. So they borrowed the wreath from across the street because it wasn't big enough.
From like another.
Yeah, they just went next door to the neighbors.
Huh?
They didn't tell them.
No, I'm sure they.
I'm sure they have.
I'm just wondering if they went and stole it. That'd be a lot
That would be
crazier.
a lot funnier. But yeah, no, that
So
the,
they went
wreath, the
borrowed.
original wreath wasn't big enough, so they were like, we're
So
just
they
gonna
had to
go
get
borrow.
So they had to get two
We're gonna go.
because there's one on each door, right? So they had to get two borrowed.
So they just borrowed the neighbors.
Wow. I was going to say, if you were going to say they borrowed it from the around the horse's neck from the carriage, that's where I hope it was going. I was like, that was going to be awesome.
That'd been pretty funny.
I was waiting for that one. And
So they went and borrowed it from the neighbor across the street.
That's still pretty good, though.
It's not quite
Yeah.
white painted cornflakes for snow, but it's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Pure asbestos.
I was about to say it's an asbestos.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Which is what's so funny about Babylon is they show that we talked about that, and then Matt and I go to see Babylon, and we see him shaking the asbestos out.
Yeah.
In the scene. Like it's bags of asbestos.
Babylon of Movie?
Yeah, it's Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie.
I've not seen
Yeah,
it.
it's amazing.
I'm going to watch it.
pluggity plug.
I'll look it up. I'll look it up tonight.
Yeah.
Man, I got to work tomorrow. I mean, I do tomorrow. I'm in Campty, so.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, all right. Nope. That's wrong.
Oh, wait.
Humans.
I still got one thing to say. Oh, yeah, go ahead and I'll say one. Well, I don't want to interrupt the whole name
So
thing.
we're gonna do our outro. So
I know. I want to say it right now. Remember, people, spandex is a privilege, not a right. And go.
well then that was
I saw it today.
Guess fuck.
I saw it today. Some people shouldn't do it. It's not mean. And I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. Don't get me wrong. Just saying, look, just recognize. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Anyway,
And you
your
are.
outro, please.
Oh,
So for 3CG, you are.
Terry J. Nelson.
Yeah. Yeah, you should. Ever. I'm Garrett Crudoff.
I'm Hannah Kaufman. Jesus fuck.
Three Sissies and a Girl is hosted by Garrett Crudoff, Hannah Kaufman, Terry Nelson, and Matthew Maniscalco. The show is produced by Garrett Crudoff and Hannah Kaufman and co-produced by Terry Nelson and Matthew Maniscalco. The show is edited by Garrett Crudoff and post-production is supervised by Hannah Kaufman. Our theme music is by Alexander Rufire and is licensed through Envato.
Hey guys, if you like what you hear, follow us on Instagram at 3CG_pod. That's 3CG_POD. Twitter at TCAAG2. Or search for us on Facebook at Three Sissies and a Girl.
Listener suggestions, questions, and vitriol can be submitted to our socials or via email to 3sissiesandaGirl@gmail.com. That's the number 3, CISSIESANDAGIRL @gmail.com.
Thanks for listening, and be sure to rate and subscribe on iTunes or wherever you like to listen.